I'd like to call the meeting to order and have pledge of allegiance, please, Bob.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
You get on there?
Not yet.
Attendance, everybody's here. Amend the agenda, I think three things. I'd like to move Vic up from Parks and Rec after appointment Michigan Health Endowment. I'd like to move Jim Simons up right after Vic and move Brad up right after Treasurer's Report.
And I'd like to add snow removal bids.
Okay, under new business?
Whatever you want to call them.
Well, we can do it under new, that's
This
fine.
time you're gonna remember Jim, right?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, as I'm getting older, I forget stuff, so. Okay, minutes of the November 20th meeting. Corrections, changes, additions as presented,
I'll make a motion to approve that.
as presented. Is there a second?
Second that.
Second by Cindy. Is there any discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? That is carried. Financial reports. Balance sheet, revenue expense, and monthly invoices. Bob, I'm just gonna ask, because I don't know if they sent it to you or you got it today. Did you get an invoice from, Apex?
Yes,
Okay.
600 and some dollars.
Is it for a year?
I think it's 200 and some for a year, and then the total invoice was 600 and some. So evidently you haven't paid your bill in a few years.
Well, we paid, County Line used to pay it, and then they reimbursed us, but we quit doing it. We quit paying it because we weren't in business anymore.
$600 to be ignorant.
Well, no, it was yours. It's the computer here. It's not our computer. So I need to
You
see,
still need that?
it's this part of the program.
Doesn't the county have that?
No, it's your sketching program. So we can sketch houses and we can print out this thing. I needed to see the invoice. We can do that as long as we're talking about invoices. You still working on this, Edward? Well, I've got balance sheet.
Yeah, so the balance sheet and the revenue expense report and the monthly invoices were in the packet. And I'm gonna be working on with Bob, a budget amendment for the next meeting. To
Okay.
cover some of the areas that we know we're gonna be over, based on stuff that's happened throughout the course of the year, so expect that.
Okay.
I don't really have any comments on the reports themselves though at this point.
Okay, does anybody have questions, board, for that? No, okay. Wait till Mr. Clerk, till Mr. Clerk gets back, how about treasurer's report?
Sure, so that was also in the packet. Interest rates are down a little bit. Federal Reserve has cut some of their interest rates, so where we were up over 5 a couple of months ago, it's down to about 4.75, but still earned about $6,000, 5770 in interest for the month. Winter tax bills have been mailed. They're due now. And if you haven't received a tax bill within the next week, please call and we can get you a copy because we've had significant issues with the post office. Or the payment software that we talked about a few meetings back, we're waiting on the vendor for scheduling. I just got an email from them with some links to kind of get that process starting. So at a minimum, that will be ready for next summer taxes, but maybe even yet for winter taxes, depending on how long that onboarding is. So that's all I've got.
Okay. Mr. Clerk?
Mandy submitted the invoice to the state for reimbursement for postage for elections, and got that.
Okay,
We're working on trying to get a contract together for finish off the storm damage. And that's coming along, but it's not, we haven't signed the contract for the storm damage to finish the projects.
so after I called that guy back this morning, did anyone ever call back? No, after that, okay. Well, that's kind of,
And that's just about the siding, right?
Yes.
what's left is the
That's the
siding.
only thing left is the
That's
siding.
okay. Yeah, just want to make sure there wasn't something new.
So we can talk about, originally I thought the way this was explained to me, and I probably misunderstood it, and Bob had a different opinion of what he understood, so I thought we'd be reimbursed to 100%. And then it's not gonna be true. So we're gonna bear some of the cost. I don't know exactly how much yet, because the guy was supposed to get back with us today. He was redoing the estimate that the contractor sent in and was knocking off two figures for $8,000, a total of 8,000 they weren't gonna pay, which was overhead and management, right, Bob, or some goofy thing, profit and then overhead at the end of that, so they don't do that. But it's still gonna be a roughly $20,000 that I can figure, just doing rough figuring that they are not gonna cover from depreciated, what do you wanna call it, use? Right?
Yes.
I guess you'd call it depreciated use. I thought we'd be brought up to 100%, and I was informed wrong, I guess, 3 months or 4 months or 6 months ago. But still hasn't been decided yet. So we'll see if we can get it down. I told the guy it was 20 grand and he went, no, it shouldn't be. Well, okay, I'll call Gandolfi tomorrow. Cause I
He
didn't think,
doesn't have anything to do with it.
he's our agent.
Well,
I mean, you know what I mean? He's our
this,
agent.
this discussion, get out of this.
Okay, but anyways, so just so everyone knows, that's where that's at, and that's why the stuff isn't fixed yet, so. Anything else, sir?
No,
Okay,
I'm not enjoying this thing. And Cindy's help and Mandy's help, I'm suffering through it.
okay. It's all fine, Bob, you're doing
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. I guess Mr. Dotz isn't here anyway, so Brad, you're up. Come on up here and join us at the table.
Well, I have got numbers pulled together for you for the entire township. I'd like to go through it a little bit in detail here,
It's on this packet right there.
so that you
Both
guys
have.
can see where I'm coming from.
Why don't you tell him
We have,
where he's from first?
Oh, does everyone knows Brad? I'm sorry.
Not everybody knows.
I'm sorry, this is Brad, the road commission manager for
Sorry.
Manistee County Road Commission.
yes.
Correct, if you want his cell phone number, just call him and,
Yeah. Feel free to call me at the office at any time.
yeah, there you go. I knew that was coming.
So I wanted to go through so that everybody hears it from me exactly how our programs work. And there's no questions left for anybody who is questioning why certain roads get higher share of contribution from us and others do not. So there are several maps here in this stack. The first one is the National Functional Classification. This is a federal classification system that's put in place for all roads within this United States. If they are considered a federally classified road, greater than a minor collector, they are eligible for federal funding. Because of the lack of funds coming into the transportation program within the federal government, minor collectors are no longer federally fundable. They are classified simply because they want to have a description of what they are in the system so that the people realize that, yes, you are more than a normal local road, but you're not functioning at that higher level of point-to-point transport or transportation. So when we look on the map, that the first one we have here, the only thing in the township that is considered a minor arterial is 22. And that goes all the way down from 13 Mile and comes all the way out at the south end of the township. So other than that, you have several that are considered major collectors. Major collectors effectively function as getting multiple subdivisions or multiple areas of roads in together to be the main route to get from one destination to another. And you're looking at, within this township, you have 13 Mile, you have Portage Point because of the sheer volume of vehicles that come in off of there. The Brant, Malark portion of it, there's a portion of Malark that's just considered a local road. And then you have Lakeshore. So when you have a major collector, Those are roads that are the responsibility of the road commission. We do 100% of all work on those at our cost. We don't ask for any participation from the township on anything that is considered a major collector. So anything below that, there is a cost share associated. The second sheet, as we move on, is our Act 51 certification. And Act 51 describes how we get the transportation funds from the state of Michigan. You have your state trunk line, which is 22. You have your county primaries. You have your county locals. And then within the village of Onekama, they have what's considered city major, city local, but that's not our roads. That's just a classification that exists within Act 51. If it is a county primary, which are the blue roads, all federally fundable roads are primaries, but not all primaries are federally fundable. So if it's a primary road that is not federally fundable, we will pay 70% of anything that's done on it, and the townships are responsible for 30%. And as it moves into locals and or seasonal roads, anything that is done on those, it's a minimum of a 50-50. If it's an upgrade of a seasonal road, there's a lot more burden that comes to the townships. So normally, I don't think that from my record search, we haven't done any upgrades from seasonal roads within Manistee County within the last 15 years. Just because if they're seasonal, typically very few to no people actually live on them. But if it's a local road, this is the main focus of where we're going to be on our locals and our primaries. And I've generated a list here that shows where the projects are, what's federally fundable and what we're going to be taking care of. And then also what is your non-federally fundable primaries, which is only one small section of 13-mile road from the dead end to Lakeview. And that's a total cost. Total cost is $2,200, but the 70% share means $1,500 of it will be borne by the road commission. The township shares $660. So those are the roads that we have, and those are the main focus of what we'll talk about here today. But I did also include for you another couple of maps here. The IBR, there's a sheet on here that says current IBR ratings. IBR is the way that the state evaluates gravel roads. So if you look at the gravel roads within your township, many of your gravel roads are very, very good because you guys have invested some money in improving the gravel roads throughout the township. So you start looking at, you know, your Erickson Road, your 11-mile, your Crescenson, your Maidens, those are all in good shape. It doesn't necessarily mean that the surface doesn't have chattering to it. It means that the base material is good, it's to its proper width, and it has drainage. Because the surface itself can change day to day on a gravel road. And that is kind of how we have evaluated. You still have a few down off of the Portage Point area that are still in pretty bad shape as gravel roads, but those are very small segments for the most part. And then the final one, which is kind of how we select our gravel or our asphalt roads, is your current PACER ratings. Your current PACER ratings, that is the standard that is used throughout the state of Michigan to evaluate paved roads. And when we start evaluating paved roads and you look at where you are here, the majority of your township is in very good shape. There are a few sections of road that still need some work. Obviously, you know, you got one little section up there where it says Vanessa Way that's red, but the 13 mile down, that red section, that's all 22. And you just have a couple of reds. The majority of your roads are in reasonable shape. If they're red, that's pretty much beyond what we can rescue with a chip seal type project. It's just to the point where the base is falling apart and it needs to have some significant structural improvement in order to get things to be a long-lasting product. So when we look at this and we start putting this all together and you look at all of these yellows and all of the greens and all of the oranges, those are still within the chip seal salvageable program. And the way we're doing it now, we will take care of all the base repair. All of the overlays, the small patching that needs to be done, that's all gonna be taken care of as part of this new program that we've put in place. So when we do this, we are willing to do that upfront work so that we can get the townships to buy into doing the chip seal. The chip seal is a contracted cost by definition, contracted labor, contracted workforce by the state of Michigan statute, especially on a local road. We cannot spend more than 50% of the value of a contracted project on a local road. And that's where that comes in. That's in statute that says that there has to be matching funds from somewhere else. And that's where we rely on the townships to come into it and at a 50-50 partnership on all these local roads to try and get your roads to be in good shape. Now, with your millage, you guys have done a lot more than the majority of the county. Your roads are in better shape, but they are in prime need right now of chip sealing. And what I put together for you today is a description of where we sit and where our costs are gonna be. The first piece of roads is our federally fundable roads. And we've got about $496,000 worth of federally fundable roads. Those will all be done by the county road commission at 100% our expense.
Question.
Yes,
So that number for the ones that you guys are 100% responsible for, does that include the wedging, whatever, base construction?
that
plus
is
the chip
just
seal?
the chip seal
Okay,
cost.
so the other stuff isn't on any of these?
No, you're right,
Okay.
because we don't know what it is.
Okay.
When we get done with it, we'll give you for your information, not
Just
that
for
it
our
matters.
information, you're not gonna bill us for it.
We're not gonna bill you
Yeah,
for it,
okay.
but we're gonna say, this is how much asphalt we put down, this is the
Okay.
cost we absorbed to have that done, just so you understand where we're coming from. And you understand that, you know, it's more than 50% of the cost that we're actually absorbing because we're doing the asphalt work. And we want it to be completely transparent, that it's not just your township. You know, I've got agreements now in place with Pleasanton and Arcadia to do 100% of both townships with chip seal next year. Bear Lake, I met with them last night. They're gonna put as much money as they can into chip seal over probably the course of 5 to 7 years. They have a lot more roads than anybody else paved.
And they're
wise,
in bad,
except
and
for
there's a lot
Manatee.
in bad shape.
And they're in terrible shape because they haven't spent money on them.
How long, Brad, will the chip seal get us in your estimation for the life of the road? Extended?
We usually say 7 years, but I've been doing this since 1992. And we had roads in Ann Arbor that we would build a local road. We would do the chip seal 7 years, 8 years, 9 years later, depending on the condition, we chip seal it again. We extended the life of roads that are typically engineered to be 20 to 25 years of life. I routinely had 42 years of life.
Wow.
Just by simply hitting them every 7 years with chip seal. It's an amazing product. It protects the actual underlying asphalt from oxidation, which is a huge hit because when that sun beats down on the asphalt, it burns out some of the elasticity of asphalt. And then suddenly when you have freeze thaw cycles, it cracks and they never remend. And even if you have a fairly new section of road, if you were to go out even here next summer and start walking out on Lake Shore where we did that resurfacing, if you were to get out there and actually pay attention, you'll see little micro cracks because anytime you're rolling asphalt, you're stretching it. And so you're gonna see little tiny fissures that start showing age rather quickly. So the predominant theory now is within the first 3 years of any type of resurfacing, you should be hitting it with your first chip seal. Because that will protect that underlying asphalt. And then every 7 years, some roads are gonna last 8 years, some roads are gonna last 9, but we say 7 because we know we're gonna get at least 7 out of them. And so by doing that, we can extend the lives of these roads out easily into that 40-year range, especially since like when I was dealing with it in Ann Arbor, I'm sorry, the traffic volumes are a lot heavier in Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor's got a population of 126,000 people in a small city. There's a lot of traffic. There's not anywhere near that traffic in this whole county. So we expect to get easily 7 years of life out of it. And what I put together here, just so you understand, if it's one listing of the road, it's all in bold, it's all in standard print. it says that it's point, like for Fifth Street / Malark, it says it's 0.25 miles. It's rated a 3 or a 4. But when you get down to say South Portage Point, the limits of the entire section are from Second to 9th. That's 0.521 miles, but the individual segments that come up to add to that 521 are between Second and Third, which is an 8, which is a good, between Third and Fourth, which is fair. And so every single time there is a pavement change or a usage change or a project limit change, we have a new segment that is formed. So these ones that are in smaller print and italics, the only reason they're there is so that you understand that just because this segment says from Second to 9th, it's not all the same condition. You've got one segment that's considered fair. You've got another one that's a 7 fair. Then you've got three of them that are good. So when you start looking at it, it's just more for your information so that you can actually look at it. Now, when you take that and compare it to the pavement map that I've given you with the current pacer rating, I think a lot of times for you, especially who's not going to try and get into the details, you can look and say, okay, well, yeah, we've got on Erdman Road going up here just north of Joseph, it goes from good to fair for a little bit, then it goes back to good as you go past Christensen, and then you get into a fair condition heading north from there. So between the two, this gives you your detail, your breakdown, your cost breakdown. This shows you graphically what that means on a map. And like I say, if you look at your map and you compare it to Bear Lake, which I did, but like I said last night, 3/4 of their roads are red or dark or the orange. They don't have many that are good.
We
Because-
also only have 2/3 of a real township, because we're
Yeah.
missing all those sections. That's
Yeah.
another reason we don't have as many miles. of
Right,
road.
so you're at 16.315 paved miles of road. Bear Lake is at 26 3/4 miles of
So
paved
what's
road.
our pacer breakdown between good, fair, or percentage wise, you know?
I do not have that exactly, but looking at the map, I'd say, I would say we're probably 85% are good and fair, which is what the state wants us to be, as everything good and fair or better. You've got just these little teeny tiny segments that need to be addressed,
That are poor.
that are in poor, or because even though like the 3s and the 4s are poors, they don't necessarily, they don't break it down. They say 3s, even though Pacer has 3s and 4s are poor. Looking at this, when we're done, I would expect that 100% of your township, except for these little red segments, are going to be at least an 8. Because there's still some things that we can't correct with chip seal, but you're gonna be an 8 or better township wide. And after 7 years, you shouldn't see a fall off in 7 years of more than about 2 points. So you should start at an 8. By the time we're ready to chip seal again, you may have a couple of them that are 5s, but the majority of them are gonna be 6s. We'll chip seal it. And we'll do some more patching. By then, hopefully, we've established that we can do this and we get support from our board. We have a better paver. We can fix some of those imperfections, get some rides touched up. Because, what we're doing now is basically to hold the road together. It's not to improve the ride. But when we get through on our next round and we're putting down asphalt, it's really gonna be to improve the rideability of the road as well as get those crowns back. Because there are some areas where we don't have great crown. And then we end up with water that doesn't quite drain like it should off the edge of the road. And that's one of our projects, once we get done chip sealing, because we figure we can finish all of the county within 5 years. That gives us 2 years to be able to go out there and concentrate on shoulders and getting those shoulders back so that when we go through on the next round, we should have a lot better condition, rideability and drainage ability. But right now, if we don't start hitting these roads, they're gonna fall off. If you were to look at a deduct curve, the deduct curve kind of, starting out at the top, it's gentle, 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 and then you hit a point at about 12 to 15 years where it starts accelerating. By that 15th year, you're on a cliff. And within 3 to 5 years, you're gonna go from a cost repair of about $350 a square yard up to $30 a square yard in 5 years. So you gotta stop that fall off. We cannot afford to go in, even if we're putting a 2-inch overlay, you're still at $17 a square yard. You've gotta get that in that upper carry portion of it where, you know, you're gonna drop off, you're gonna bring it up, you're gonna drop off, you're gonna bring it up, and you're gonna just keep it right there as best you can. Eventually, roads do need to be rebuilt. Bases fail eventually. You have breaks that happen in different areas that just suddenly roads start sinking. I mean, there's things that happen. But for the most part, we want to be able to get to a point where it's cost effective to maintain every road within the county. And then we can start, after we're done with round 2, it's going to really be focusing predominantly on gravel roads and getting some of those up. When we get out of these last townships here, our estimate right now is 3 years to finish all the way from Arcadia, Pleasanton, all the way down through Bear Lake, through at least getting half of Bear Lake done, through here, down through Manistee, through Filer and Stronach. We're hoping within 3, maybe 4 years, all of that's done. When you get beyond that, those are almost all federally aid roads. If they're paved, they're probably federal aid or primary. So the cost out there is pretty much on gravel roads. So we're gonna have to focus on gravel roads, especially in those areas, because those townships don't have the money that we have on this side of the county, and they just don't have the resources to put into paving roads. So they're gonna stay with gravel, but they need to put money into their gravel roads. So when I come down to this,
Your intent then for next year would be to do the fixing and patching, but not do any,
we would do the chip seal same year.
okay.
We are gonna start the first day Brown and Sons opens. We are gonna be there, we're gonna be
Okay.
collecting material, we're gonna be putting material down, and we're gonna be here in your township.
So if the board decides today at some point or whatever, we decide to go ahead with this, will we be on the schedule then for next year?
Yes, we are putting you into a bid packet as this is what we anticipate. If we don't make it to a few streets, because we haven't got that far by the time the chip seal contractor gets here, we'll get it prepped and we'll do it next year when we're working in Manistee Township.
But your intent would be to.
But our intent would be to finish your entire township if you have the money to do
You've
it.
got the capacity, you said you're doing Arcadia, Pleasanton, and Onekama?
And Arcadia and Pleasanton have already been prepped. All prep work is done.
Oh, they can start chip.
Oh,
So they can start chip sealing up there
Okay.
first.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna work their way down here. And the only reason why we started up there is because we were very close to Brown and Sons, and that's where we need to get our material.
Sure, yeah.
It's different when we're paving, you know, we get Milan, we get Elmer's. The biggest difference between using a Milan and Elmer's mix versus Scott Brown's mix up there, Elmer's has to meet state spec on all the material, which means you have to have 17% recycled asphalt product. Recycled asphalt product, when you're talking about putting down 3/4 to an inch, is garbage. Scott uses 0% recycled, and he uses a finer mix. His maximum rock size is 1/2 inch, whereas Elmer's and Milan are using 3/4. So it's a much better product. It lasts longer because there's no recycled products. I understand people want to recycle. Yes, it's a great thing in certain areas. Asphalt is not one of them, because that's asphalt material that they're counting towards the total asphalt mix has no elasticity left in it. And so you end up putting in 17%, and they're counting that towards your asphalt content, but it's not doing any good. It doesn't have any flexibility left, and it's just not good for the actual patching, and even for 2-inch overlays. They don't do 2 inches typically with those. They do 2 layers of 2 inches when you're talking about using that recycled. We put down 2 inches and we're good, you know, up here. It's designed, all of the state and federal mixes are designed for Southeast Michigan, Grand Rapids, you know, these big industrial areas that have trucks all the time. You don't need that type of strength. You need something that's resilient and flexible when you've got the freeze-thaw cycles that we hit up here. And that's the whole idea with these chip seals. Number one, you're protecting the asphalt, but you're also keeping that water out. Because when water gets into the base, and you go through those freeze thaws, you start pushing it up and you create air pockets. Those air pockets, a truck goes over it, crushes it, breaks that asphalt into a bunch of little pieces. It can't heal itself. Chip seal keeps the water out, but even if there's a little bit of water underneath it, the flexibility, because you're 90% of your product is effectively the asphalt sealant that you're really concerned with, both the first layer, which holds the rocks, and then the fog seal. Those are incredibly resilient. So if you do get an air pocket, you push it down the first hot day, it's going to flow back together and it's going to reseal itself. And that's why chip seal is so important, especially when you're talking about freeze thaw cycles. And, you know, it also, the fact that you're protecting it from the sun is huge. So what I've come up with here, just so we're on the same page here, you're looking at about $358,900 for all of your locals. And then you've got for your cost share, $660 for that one primary that's not federally fundable. So effectively, you know, and I'm guessing these numbers are pretty conservative. I don't expect us to go over with the sheer volume. If we add your township to the fact that we're already doing Pleasanton
I was
and
gonna ask you, is there
Arcadia,
any cost
we're gonna,
savings?
we're gonna knock that price down
Okay.
because we're already with what we're doing for ourselves, plus what we're doing for those townships, we're already at $1.5 million of just chip seal. And up here, Traverse City, Grand Traverse County does maybe $1.5 million every 3 years. So we're talking about hitting $2 million. People are gonna come far and wide to do $2 million worth of chip seal.
So.
So they're gonna
discount
be
rate-
very competitive and we're gonna get good prices on it. So this is based on last year's prices where we did a grand total of 17 miles. I'm set up right now to do about 60 miles of road.
Okay.
And that, you know, it's 3 times the amount. For them to be able to come in and sit in one spot and do 3 times that amount of work is huge for crack seal, for
Sure.
chip sealing
Cause
contractors.
it's a bunch of work. Right?
It's, yeah, and you know, realistically.
So what is the total you're looking for?
Well, for those, let's talk for chip seal, you know, you're at the let's say 359 plus
Plus
600.
Okay.
So, you know, you're,
360.
yeah, 360
And the other?
then we have the roads that we had talked to you about
Before we leave this topic,
sure.
so some work was done, wasn't a township cost share on Portage Point Drive about 4 years ago,
Okay,
before you were here. They kind of chip sealed it, and it was like a gravel road with too much clay after a rain with tar.
okay.
It was a mess. It got all over cars. There was scores of complaints. It was, and they did it at the hottest time of the year. It was
Yeah.
right in the middle of the summer. How do we make sure that within reason, that isn't gonna happen when
So-
we're doing this? And do you guys have oversight, like the
Yes.
inspectors out there?
Yes, so now what happens with this is first of all, we're not using the same emulsion we used to.
Okay,
The emulsion that was used then was an anionic emulsion or a negatively charged emulsion. There are very few rocks that stick to a negatively charged.
Well, that was true. That's exactly what happened.
oh, so
And
that's,
so you have repellent forces working against you. We are using now a cationic emulsion and we're using slag instead of using natural rock. That slag has very low dust, but it's very angular. And so when it hits that emulsion, there's little pockets and everything else that stick together. But then the saving grace is the fact that now everything we do gets fog sealed. And that fog seal is very thin, but it glues everything together exceptionally well. There are temperature limitations. If it's a super hot day, we're not gonna be putting stuff down. I mean, if it's gonna crest 92 degrees, 93 degrees in a day, we're not even gonna go out. It's just not worth it because it takes too long to set up at that point. It's gonna stay hot. If you're talking about asphalt, it doesn't necessarily matter as much. It's still, you're talking about something that needs to be 350 degrees to be usable. This stuff only needs to be 210, 220 degrees to be usable. it's not gonna cool down very fast on a hot day, so we wouldn't do it then. But the biggest saving grace is changing of the emulsion and using a slag product instead.
And you
of
also don't get the
natural
blow off on the shoulders like you
Right.
used to with all the rocks.
Yeah, it's a very fine, great, tight mix. So
Okay.
you don't have near when you do, and for like, when we're coming through and we're picking up roads that are in a subdivision type environment, even though we're not necessarily subdivision, but when we're in there, we're using pickup sweepers now. We're not using brush off sweepers because nobody wants that in their front yard. If they have a grass front yard, assume we're gonna be using a pickup sweeper.
Okay.
You get out in the country, we're gonna just do a side, a knockoff and put it onto the shoulders. But we don't want any complaints either. I mean, that's the worst thing. That can destroy the goodwill of what we're trying to accomplish way too fast. And we are not in that business. Want people to appreciate what we're doing. And we want to make sure that we are holding these roads together. And chip sealing is by far the most cost effective, other than crack seal, which you're gonna see us doing crack seal around the county too. We got approval for $500,000 worth of crack seal, and we haven't done crack seal except for a little bit in-house in the last 10 years. So we're gonna be hitting a lot of crack seal. You're gonna see us out doing a lot of prep work on a lot of our federally aid eligible roads. Because in 3 years, we're putting 100% of our federal monies into chip seal for 2 years. So everything countywide, doesn't matter where it is gonna have to be chip sealed by the end of that process. So, but
So would we be better off waiting? You could just do it for free?
you're not federally fundable. I can't use federal funds on your road.
Oh, okay, I'm just asking. It sounded like that was a bonus.
No, but it is gonna allow us to do more.
The other
and
roads,
Focus
yeah, I
more
know.
on the other
Yeah,
roads.
okay.
Because we are still living off a limited pot. I mean, it's not, we have more money for roads than you obviously, but we don't have an unlimited fund, so we need to find every way we can to preserve the roads that we have. And there are roads that are gonna be garbage for a long time. Big Four, I mean,
That's
I've
bad.
talked to these townships, I'm sorry, but like Bear Lake and, what is it?
Maple
Cleon,
Maple Grove.
Maple Grove, those townships, I mean, the minimum, the one little small section where it turns and heads east, that township would have $100,000 worth of cost share on it. But the others are all at 450,000. And then the northeast portion of Big Four, they're at like 700,000 just for their cost share. Cause that's a $4.8 million project as of last estimate.
Okay.
So,
So I want to say something back with everything that I've heard. So everything that you provided for us, whether it's federally funded, local, whatever, everything on these sheets is going to be chip seal.
most likely.
So
There may be 2 exceptions, and that's only because I have potential utility projects that might be happening on 2 of the federal aid eligible roads, but all of your roads, I don't have any projects scheduled. If they can get in there and get their piping, their gas line taken care of on the one section and the underground for the electricity and the other, then yes, everything on there will be done next summer.
So to further clarify my understanding, before you showed us these, you were talking about how chip seal basically is off the table when the road is in poor condition
Yeah.
because it's not gonna fix it, but yet there's many here identified as poor.
They are, right, and those are, I'm sorry, let me clarify. When I say poor condition, I'm talking about the bad ones, the red ones. Those are beyond what we can do. So there's not many that you have.
Okay,
The red ones are real
Okay.
small too.
Yeah,
okay.
so, but when I'm talking about poor, you also have to understand that the difference
Poor's
between,
level of poor's.
the difference between a 3 and a 4, the state still calls them both poor, but the difference between a 3 and a 4 is huge. That is the single biggest difference between ratings, is the difference between a 3 and a 4. Because a 4 indicates that the surface is crap, but you still have a base. A 3 indicates your base has failed.
Okay, so on the 2s and 3s, which that does, I mean, the numbers aren't as great when you take
Right.
the poor 4 out. Really, if you're gonna just chip seal it, then what we're really,
No, go ahead.
so if we're chip sealing it, let me say it a different way, with all the other roads, if you chip seal, we're really extending the life, we're really preserving what's there, and structurally, the road potentially could remain good for many years to come. With the poor, by doing just chip seal, really all you're trying to do then is put a Band-Aid on it, if you will, so to mitigate it.
Yeah, just to stop it, to stop it from going from that $15 a yard repair to that $30 a yard repair, to give us 7 years to adjust and try and get stuff done. Yeah, it's probably not, those are probably not roads that we're gonna be able to chip seal 3 times or 4 times.
Right. That was
Those
my
are
next
roads
question.
that, you know, we can maybe chip seal them once, maybe twice, but we are putting some serious money into asphalt work too. And that is, you know, second go around, we're not gonna be doing as much in asphalt. This is one-time thing that I was able to convince the board, hey, you haven't done preventive maintenance in this county for long enough. It needs to be done. They are behind us getting this done, and they are willing to put this money in. The next time around, a lot of that type of stuff, if we're looking at those type of roads, it's gonna be either resurfacing or it's gonna be something where the townships are gonna have to put in more of a share of the actual asphalt touch-ups and repairs. And we have some availability with Scott Brown's equipment to actually make better repairs for some of these small areas that have failed. He's willing, because of how much work we're gonna do with him, material wise, to give us his paver for a month. So that's huge. I mean, it's a $65,000 piece of equipment that we don't have to buy and use it for a month, as long as we're using his material. So, yeah, some of them are not ideal candidates, but they're still gonna get.
So get you by for.
Yeah, we
5
get 7 years
7
of life at least out of
Well,
them.
and you're adding back mass and structure with some of that asphalt work, which might effectively bring that from a 3 to a 4 just
Yeah.
because of that.
And yeah, and we have some areas, we have several spots that we already have marked out that we need to do some excavation and get the muck out and put back in real base too. So we're going a little further than we would normally go to hold together these, but that's the only choice we have right now. We don't have the money it would take to get this county up to speed.
Sure.
And if we don't start doing something like this, they're just gonna get worse. And when we start getting into $30 a square yard repairs, you're just, I mean, that's out of everybody's price range. So we're trying, we're gonna get as much as we can. And like I say, you know, there are several roads that we've already done some significant patching to. We did one in Bear Lake, we did 11 mile from 31 all the way out, where we actually had to go in and put 2 different courses of asphalt to get some of it to be not in a hole anymore. We also did, I can't remember now the name of. No, we just did one that runs north-south and it's on the east side, but we did that also. And I'm sorry, I'm terrible with the names of roads still, because I haven't been on all of them yet, but.
Well, you did some on Maiden.
Yeah, that was a contracted repair. We did the hill, we actually repaved. But then the rest of it, we did spot repair and chip seal. But I mean, we are still gonna be hitting a few roads here and there for resurfacing. And that's where I get into some of these issues down here. While they show that they're in reasonable shape, this little stretch of roads off of Portage Point that you guys have, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, all the way up to 9th. These are roads that show as being reasonable, but there's no drainage left. So the surface is pretty shitty also, but it's beyond what we can do anything to help, because you've got inverted crowns in a lot of spots, and you've got areas where like the entire quarter crown has failed. Quarter crown is anything from that the shoulder side weak wheel path out. That's all failed. And it's to the point where there's nothing we can do on those. We did put together a potential project. The total estimate for that project, if you were interested in doing something on those right now, is just under 200,000. So when you figure in what we cover out of it, you guys are probably somewhere in the $80,000 range to fix the rest of those. And those are ones, like I say, they're bad, but they're beyond what we can chip seal. We just can't, I mean, they're just too narrow for us to try and get in and chip seal. They're usually about 12 to 13, 14 feet wide at best. And so that would be something we'd send in there with like an Elmer's where they could actually, they have a paver that can break the crown midway through and they can actually get it to drain properly and we can control how things are happening.
So would they grind the existing base up?
They're gonna have to do some touch up to the base. There is some areas that we're gonna have to do some adjustments to it. Just because, and that's why it's a little more expensive than just a standard resurfacing. If that doesn't happen, you know, that's up to you guys. This is your money. I'm just presenting all your options. You know, this is, you know, we're willing to work with you however we can. We'll do whatever you guys want us to do because we want to make this painless as we can for you. Obviously, there's a lot of money we're talking about here, but we can make your entire township look pretty darn good in just a few years here. Then we start looking at your gravel roads. You've got a lot of good gravel roads here. And I know we had talked about doing potentially 11 mile and paving 11 mile from 22 out to where it becomes private. And unfortunately, there's a little red portion on the IBR that shows up and I couldn't get it to go away today. I tried. That's actually private, so you don't even have to worry about that. But that entire section is considered good. It's already in good shape for a gravel road. And to get that redone and to pave it, you'd be looking at about 1.2 million with all costs included. So your cost share on that one road alone would be 600,000 and change. So, I mean, understanding that, yes, eventually maybe it's something you want to look at. Internally, our recommendation is the value you have in your paved roads right now is far more important than that gravel road, which is in good shape. So it's up to you though, it's your money, like I said. You guys make the decisions. I'm just here to say, okay, we'll take it, we'll make it a project and we'll go with it. But as far as an asset management, look at things, getting these paved roads fixed. Because if we wait 4 years before we can save up the money to do this, you're gonna lose several more roads. Because there are several of them that are teetering at that point of being beyond what we can do.
Sure.
And if you did this, you would be basically done with most of your paved roads. You'd have a couple of little stretches here and there that would come up, but they're all small roads. You know, they're little things that we could pick up.
They look-
We're gonna have,
Less than a mile even, just
Yeah.
a couple hundred yards maybe.
yeah, and so, you know, and we're gonna be hitting Manistee Township, and I don't know if you've been through Manistee roads, but they're not exactly great either. So they've got a lot of resurfacing projects that are gonna be going on, so it'd be the type of thing like, if you decide, especially on these south ones here, that you wanted to pick up a couple of them, we could partner that in with the Manistee projects as we start picking up some of their roads, because they have an entire subdivision that is beyond, I mean, it's gravel. It's got asphalt in spots, but it's basically a gravel road. So they're gonna be resurfacing, and it's not that far out so that a contractor would be able to easily add on, especially these south ones. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of issues that have to be discussed, and I leave that to you to come back. You tell me what you want, we'll make sure it happens. But you know, as far as gravel roads are, we can keep them graded. And some of them, like I say, rather than paving it, maybe we try some of that Prozine on it. Prozine was something, I don't know if everybody was here when we started talking about that. There's a new product. It's called Prozine. It's an enzymatic process. It comes in 5-gallon buckets. It's $6,000 per bucket. You need 2 buckets for a mile of road, 2 lanes wide, but it turns a gravel road into effectively a paved road almost for about 5 years. You put it down when it's cool. As soon as it hits 82 degrees, it turns into a rock. Charlevoix County's been using this for several years. This was their 3rd year last year. They were hitting just hills. Now they're hitting mainline roads on with it. And they're really, I mean, they took a core out of one of their roads that they did and it's about the size of a hockey puck, about the same thickness of a hockey puck of what they had. You can drop that from 6 feet in the air and it's solid. I mean, it'll bounce off the ground and not even chip. Now, it's very sensitive. You have people that come out from the company to help you apply it because it's $12,000. But once it's hard, there's no grading that road again. You will scrape down steel blades in short order trying to grade it. And carbide's expensive as heck, so we wouldn't want to use that. So you go in, you grade it when you know your temperatures are going to be right. You apply the Prozyme to it with basically a brine spreader. You never have anything to do again. The first hill that Charlevoix's 3 years through it, they have not even graded the first hill they touched. They've not even been on it at all. They've not had any washout. They've never had to grade it. They don't brine it at all.
So it
because
drains
it's so solid.
Drains like asphalt then.
Drains like an asphalt road. So they have their ditches that were all built, everything was built, put in place before they got there. Company came in, gave them all the analysis of the dirt that was there, the moisture that was there, and said, this is the rate you need to travel at. They went in, they applied it. It's amazing stuff. Very expensive, $6,000 5-gallon bucket. I was like, wow. I mean, even for us, that's an expensive product. But if you can turn that gravel road into something that has no maintenance and you don't have to worry about brine, because brine is not exactly, if somebody's driving with a nice car, they don't like to drive through brine. I mean, especially in the first few days, it's sticky and it gets on your vehicle. To be able to put something like this down for us, we think this is just a perfect solution for some of the areas we have, rather than having to put as much clay as we have, because most of Manistee is sand. We have to add clay to our roads continuously to keep it somewhat glued together. To be able to do that the one time and go 5 years without touching it again is a win-win for us. So that's something we'll be doing a pilot on this summer. We talked about it at the board meeting. We're going to talk more about it in January and have the salesman out in February to talk to us and explain to us exactly how it goes. But we are going to do a pilot this summer and hit some hills to try and glue them
It'd
together.
be neat to see that.
Pilot candidate.
Yeah, it would be neat to
As
see
long
it.
as the main road, if it can hold up there, it can hold up anywhere.
Yeah.
That's about.
Yeah, and we're looking, I'm going to be talking to all the townships and say, hey, where do you guys think?
Well, roughly, so it's $12,000, right, to do a mile.
For a mile.
How much is chip seal in a mile?
About 44,000.
Yeah, so you're not, I mean, not that we should chip seal a but
Right.
from a standpoint of expense, I mean, how many miles of gravel roads we got total?
I don't know, I didn't add those up.
It'd be nice to see what it looks like and then.
Yeah, do it like.
I mean, it's way, what I'm getting at is it's way less than the paved, let's say it's 10 miles.
Right, but you're only gonna get, probably after 5 years, you're probably done with it. The enzymes have probably started to break down. But
Then what do you do with it?
then you just put another application
Oh.
of Prozyme down. So.
You don't have to grind it up or
No.
anything? Oh.
Or by then we'll have
And-
enough money
But
to
the
pay.
biggest thing is, not every gravel road has the right material in place.
Okay.
So the stuff that we've done for you guys, perfect. The stuff that, all the roads that you guys have had us redo, that is perfect. That is the right material to be putting this stuff down on. So if you've already done that work and you put this Prozyme down on top of it, there is no reason you shouldn't be able to glue that to be. And like they actually had in the video that they sent us, people were stopping with high-powered vehicles and they were spinning the rear wheels and it sounded like they were on asphalt. I mean, you could hear the whining sound of an asphalt or a tire on an asphalt road is what it sounded like.
So Brad, does the company that sells this product, do they do cores just to verify that the
Yes.
material is proper and they won't let you do it unless it's proper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do all the testing. That's part of the cost too. I mean, it's not just for 6,000 for the bucket. It's also for them to send somebody out
And
to
advice.
do all of the stuff. They do all of the pre-application testing. They come out the day of or the day before and they start getting moisture contents and they tell you, yeah, you're too low on moisture. You need to add this much water today so that tomorrow it's ready to go. They tell you, okay, well, you need to get this portion of it a little bit tuned up because it doesn't have enough rock to hold everything together. but they will be out with us for the whole thing.
Okay,
And we're, like I say, we're gonna run a pilot this
Yeah.
summer. And then, you know, as we move forward next summer, that's definitely something we'd be looking at.
It'd be interesting to see on a couple of our challenging spots to, just a test spot to.
Yeah,
See how,
well,
you know.
and like I say, I know Wexford did one, last year. And Carl's been very happy with it. I haven't gone out to look at it yet, cause I just found out. But when I was up, we went up to Charlotteway for some training and we went out and looked at the road and it's amazing. They say they have not touched it once and it's like smooth as a baby's butt. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable.
okay.
Interesting.
It's one of those things, you know, once you're done with it, you know, you have so little maintenance. And that's, I think, you know, probably for us, I don't know for you guys, if you get complaints about dust and that, but for us, that's one of the biggest complaints is dust during the summer.
We refer to you.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's still probably people calling you, but if we can put something down that's gonna eliminate dust for 5 years instead of having to brine, because that's the other problem.
And
we
no
have.
grading really either.
Yeah,
or not.
No grading, nothing. And that's one of the other issues we have right now is Eagle is still making the push to not allow us to brine gravel roads unless you use a commercially produced material. So right now we go out to wells, we get their waste brine from the wells and we
You
get
think they're gonna stop,
nothing.
you think they're gonna stop that?
They're trying.
Yeah.
And if they stop that, suddenly we're at $1 a gallon for the manufactured stuff. So from free to $1 a gallon,
There's a lot.
there's nothing, we can't absorb it. So we're gonna have to come to the townships and say, hey, do you want your roads brined or not? And you're talking like Grand Traverse went to it because they had other issues with the sheer volume of everything. They went to it and they were spending about $385,000 a year on brining. And we spend about $90,000 a year on brining.
Just for the truck and the guys.
Because we have 3 trucks going and 3 guys.
Okay,
And they work overtime, but it's still, I mean,
yeah,
you start talking about putting this other material down, suddenly then that $12,000 a mile becomes a lot more reasonable to deal with too.
Brad, can you give us something like this for those little segments that you thought would be like 200,000 total, 80,000 township, so we can see it on a map and see what the costs are? And then when do you need to know from us on this project going over?
We would like to have our bids out by the 3rd week in January. Because that's when most of the chip seal guys start planning for their season. And we want to make sure that we get one of the 3 big ones. We don't want to be stuck with one of the smaller guys out there. There's 3 really big chip seal contractors, one from the UP/Wisconsin, one from Saginaw, and one from Romulus down by the Metro Airport. Between those 3, those are the 3 we want. There's a lot of other smaller ones. They could do it, but they'd be here for like 2 months instead of 3 weeks to.
that's right, they'd be done, the other company would be done.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we wanna try and get somebody that can get the stuff in and get it done, and then we don't have to wait for that fog seal either. Cause that's the other problem is those smaller companies, we expect that within 72 hours it's fog sealed. So that you eliminate all your dust. Well, these other companies, it could be a week and a half, 2 weeks of dust, and we don't want that, especially because this is a material that can only go down by state mandate. You can only put it down from basically the week before Memorial Day till the week after Labor Day. So it's gonna be during the summer. So we wanna be able to get in, get it covered so that it's not dealing with messing up people's normal holiday and summer traffic. And we would like to probably push it towards August,
Okay.
the end of August, because then it's kind of slowed down a little bit and have it all done, especially because Arcadia has the village. So we would try and get the village type environments done at the very end, because we could do it all in a week and be out of there and be done before Labor Day came too.
Did you talk to the village area at all?
I have an appointment to meet with a gentleman there and I can't remember his name.
Wayne?
Yeah, I called him yesterday and somebody called back and said, yeah, he can meet next week.
Okay.
whoever it is there. But I had talked to one of the ladies there, that apparently was on their board or still is on their board, I don't know. But I had talked to her over the summer and cause they have some roads that could be chip sealed. Not that we cost share with them, but we could at least put them into the packet.
And it'd
get
probably
them
be
all done at
cheaper.
once. Oh, it's a lot cheaper for them, for sure,
Okay.
because they don't have to try and get a contractor in for 5 miles of roads. You know, they've got the purchasing power that we have with 60 miles of roads.
I have two more questions for you.
Anything?
Just for some projections, so could you not, I don't need it tonight, but if you could do a ballpark estimate for what Christensen might be for future planning, and I can include it, you know, for like,
Okay.
if we're doing a 10-year projection to reconstruct that one and pay it.
You know, and I'm not sure how long it is, but right now for a standard road, assuming it's fairly flat, our estimate is about $1 million a mile to go from gravel to paved. Now, 11 miles got a lot of other issues because it's got the hills.
Okay.
And it's got to be shifted where it is
Yeah.
because of some of those
Okay.
trees and everything else. So 11 miles is a little bit more.
Well,
cost,
Christensen's a mile, we could use $1 million.
so yeah, whatever the length is, figure out
A mile.
$1 million a mile.
And then these nice maps that you have, can I get a PDF, non-scanned, like print to PDF copies? Because I wanna do a little section on
Do
the
you
web.
guys have a GIS system here? Can I give you a shape file?
Yeah, that'd be even better.
I can shoot you a shape file.
For all, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
And I will give you the tables too, so you can play with it. And,
Yeah.
cause you can set, there's a field that you
Change the
set.
legend then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you set there's one table that's already got all your word
Yeah, that would be
categories.
outstanding.
You can email that?
Yeah,
Just email right to Ed.
Or share it, either way.
Or share
That'd
it,
be great.
either way,
If you could
okay.
do that, it'd be
Yeah,
excellent.
no, as long as you guys have the GIS accessibility, that's a lot easier than anything.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cause that way you can play with it, you can zoom in and you can say, yeah, this is
Yeah.
where we're at. You can do whatever size maps you want.
Okay. Questions?
The only other question I have is, so for those that are rated poor, like a 2 or 3, is there? And again, we haven't discussed it, I just am asking the question, is there any discussion about doing something further? Or is it that you this year just want to do chip seal?
We can still go in and spot patch the absolute worst of those roads while we're here. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna last a huge length of time. That might get you 3 to 5 years. But that would be a discussion that we'd have with you when you say, yeah, we can do this, or we've got this amount of money, next year we've got this amount of money. And if you sit down and you say, okay, well, what can we do for this? You know, we could start breaking down segments and say, okay, you could do this segment right here and this segment right here at this cost.
But I guess the reason for my question is, what are your financial limitations? Because if we say yes, and it's a road that you're supposed to have 50% participation, that's why I'm asking.
Well, I wasn't gonna get into that right now, but I will, just because you brought it up. Lansing currently has a bill on the table that's going to vote yet this week, supposedly. That is a 19 cent a gallon gas tax increase
No, I'm shocked.
over the course of 4 years. Okay? They also are adding $100 to registration of every vehicle, no matter what its original value was. They're just putting $100 on every vehicle.
I'm gonna get a lot of fun.
And I'm shocked again.
So what that does for us effectively,
pass.
when you look at what that,
Fix it in.
what, fix the damn, yeah.
Sorry.
Well, they are.
So what that means to us is that we are looking at, by the time this whole thing comes into fruition and we're back done with this increased process, that we're gonna add about 50% to our funds, which should make up for the fact that we have experienced a 65% increase in construction costs in the last 5 years. So, you know, at that point, we have the funds. And I think our funds are growing currently faster than yours, so I don't see us having an issue, because a lot of the townships,
That's
when
my
you start
question.
looking,
Yeah.
when you start looking once you start going east, those townships just don't have the revenue source.
Okay, so the
So, you know,
limitation would not be.
The limitation is not gonna be our cost, it's really going to be the coordination of how do we get all these projects done.
Okay.
And plain and simple, at some point, you know, when you're adding 50% to the pool of money, Elmer's can't add 50%.
They just
Milan
raise the
can't
prices.
add 50%, so they're gonna count on doing a lot of stuff on overtime. And then when that just inflates your prices more, so in the first few years as this happens, until you can get another paving company in here, that's gonna be the real restriction is who's gonna do it.
Okay.
And, you know, some of these smaller ones, you know, if it gets to that point and we are doing this and everybody in the townships are willing to say, yeah, we want to keep seeing this type of work and everybody's happy with what's happening, I'm willing to sit down after sitting with the townships to say, look, we need to start doing some of this asphalt repair in-house. And that means we need a flow boy or two,
Paver.
and we need a real paver, not a skim paver. And then we could be doing a lot of this.
Well, they used
But-
to years ago.
Well, yeah, but you know, I mean,
I
that,
mean, it was
again,
years ago.
again, you've gone from a flow boy that Elmer's buys back 5, 6, 7 years ago, they were spending about 400,000. Now they're spending $1 million a piece on them. You know, so, and it's all, the problem is because with the emissions control, when you put that emissions control, you can't use a standard truck anymore because you're pulling 50 tons of material behind you. A standard truck doesn't have enough oomph to do that and make it down the road. So you're now talking about bigger trucks, which the whole point of the emissions was we were supposed to decrease exhaust, but now you're putting bigger trucks out there, which get worse gas mileage, and you're still putting out more smog.
Right.
I mean, we still have trucks that we have that are 15 years old before emissions that get better gas mileage. And they're still going. But the new trucks, we don't expect them to last more than 12 years. And the Elmers, they're at 4 years, they're out the door.
Well, it'll be electric in a couple of years. Don't worry about it.
Sure, we will.
Brad, I've got a question.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to proceed with this, do you have a formal proposal that we should act on, or just the amount that's on here and approved to go ahead with us to bid it? or-
What we will do is if you guys say that, yes, we'll develop the cost share agreement. And the cost share agreement is gonna be pretty generic. It's gonna be based on this estimate.
Tentative.
It's gonna be a tentative thing based on that estimate. We'll then send that to you guys. You sign off on that. We'll put you in and we'll get you set up. No problem. And then when, you don't have to pay us that down payment until before construction.
And you'll know
starts.
what the actual rate's gonna be by
And
then.
by then, we'll have all that information.
So if we had that for, the second Wednesday in January, that'd be enough time for you guys?
Easily, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so on the Portage Point Road things that were a little bit different, that's a totally separate project from
Yeah.
this. If we wanted to do that and we got formal cost estimate from you, when would you need that by?
That one's a little more involved because that one you're talking about in
So
asphalt.
that might be a
So
next year
that's something,
project.
no, I can still do it this year,
Okay.
but I want it a little bit earlier if we could, simply
I
because.
mean, what if we acted on that in January still, or February?
Well, the problem is I have one asphalt package going out already for Filer. And I have to get that asphalt work done early in the season. So I really don't have a lot of leeway. I mean, if you guys think you would do it, if you think, yeah, that's probably something we could handle, I would put it in and list it as tentative. And then if it's something that you can't do, then we'll just say, okay, that.
So it'd be
I- I would-
alternate. When does that package need to go out?
That package we're hoping to have out here by the 1st of January. I mean, basically the first day we come back to.
I would like to see that bid out. Here's why. We're not gonna do, I don't think we're gonna do 11 mile. I think this asset management that you're laying out is absolutely the right way to go. And we have enough funds to do both of those and get those taken away. And then we can also schedule out some of these bigger projects over a number of years and see what that looks like. Even if we end up not doing it, if we look at it in January, but at least you have it there as an alternate. I think that makes sense personally.
I would think, to me, doing that out there, cause it's never been touched, all those roads, we're on those roads all the time, and we need to fix them, to me.
Yeah.
If it's
But
two hundred
I'd
grand,
like to see it on a map,
oh, okay.
the segments, but I think, I mean, I don't know, do we have should we get a consensus on that, or just to bid it out as an alternate, and then we can sign?
What do you
the deal
think,
if we
Cindy?
want to?
I think you're on the right trail.
I mean, I'd be willing to say yes, to go put us in the bid packet, I mean, and not screw that up. I just soon get that done this year too. We have enough money. There's 618 carried in this. I don't know if this is accurate. 618, 750.
So
Yeah,
that's
so.
11:30.
And we haven't collected any of the taxes for this year.
No, so that's another 200,000 you can
Yeah.
put towards the next project. So you got 358, and let's say it's 100 is 458. You still got 100.
To do the project.
You still have 150, 60,000 left, not counting new
Plus
taxes.
the 200 that's coming.
Yeah, not counting the new taxes.
So maybe we did that as an alternate, and then you got us a
Yeah.
separate.
We'll get a
thing
price
to
at
do for
least that way,
Yeah,
for sure.
because I think that's something I'd like to see done, but.
But I'd be more inclined to do the total chip seal like we talked about, because I think it adds life. That affects everybody in the township, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
the roads.
That's the thing is, any paved road you have
Yeah,
that is ready to be chip sealed will be done. And that allows us to then say, okay, you're now 7 years out roughly
Yeah.
before you have to think about it again. And you would assume then that your taxable base is gonna go up some. It's probably gonna go up a little bit slower than the cost of construction, but 7, 8 years from now, if you've got, that amount at a 4% compounded increase, if you've got that set aside, then we just come in, we get the prep work done again. And on 90% of these roads, you're gonna be able to chip seal them again. And then at that point, maybe you have the ability to start picking away at the ones that were borderline, but we chip sealed them because we wanted to hold everything together.
And then when you get to that point, if you grind them and do a crush and shape or even a mill and fill, you've got more material, like a crush and shape, you got more material there to work with.
Sure.
Which is
Yeah.
helpful. So.
And yeah, I think a lot of it, I think we would be probably more inclined to do the mills on most of them, because the bases, they're spot base repair. We cut them out, we cut, patch, overlay that area and then kind of do the whole surface as a nice new paved surface. And that would be a lot cheaper and we could probably make that work, because like I say, compared to, other townships, you guys are in good shape because you've had this ability to do this. It's huge to have that millage. These townships that have no taxable base or don't have a millage don't have the flexibility to say that. Even Arcadia, I mean, this is taxing them pretty hard for this year and they have a millage. It's just not enough to deal with what they have because they haven't been doing it long enough. So, I mean, I applaud you guys for having this and having the forethought to get a lot of these roads done. And I think, at that point, we can start talking about, okay, if we find that this Prozyme really is the thing,
Yeah.
maybe we start putting that on the cost and we start hitting your gravel roads. Maybe you don't ever have to pave a gravel road. Maybe you can get them to a point where they're just solid like a rock and you're able to keep them that way.
That'd be fine.
okay.
Saves millions.
Saves a lot of money
If
for
it
work.
works as advertised, I'm
And,
curious to see the pilot.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical, we'll see.
Well, yeah, I was too. Trust me, I was, Dave, until I saw that hill.
Okay,
That first hill that I went to see. I mean, that hill is, it's
okay.
it's tough. It's a hard slope.
So when you leave here, go up 22 to Maiden's Road, and take Maiden's Road all the way across, and you'll see what hill we're talking about.
I wouldn't go today,
Yeah.
Yeah, you may not get back.
no. Unless you got four-wheel drive and it's in the,
I got that. They give me that so that I can't have an excuse to not show up to work when it's bad weather.
okay. Brad, thank you.
All right, and if there's anything else you guys need,
Yeah.
feel free to call me. We can definitely do it. I've got, a couple extras here that I'll leave with you guys to deal with. So if you wanna, whatever, and I will try and get you that shape and probably the next week.
Yeah, no rush.
Cause I just switched computers and they thought they had everything right, and then this morning everything crashed.
Yeah, that's
so.
fine. The other stuff's more important.
Right.
So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you.
We have apples and we have
Trees,
treats.
cake bites.
Whoa.
That I might
They're
be
very
able to,
good.
I might be able to,
Yeah.
might be able to
Yeah, maybe.
Force one down.
Force one down. I'll have to force it, yeah.
And I may have missed it with all the confusion. Did you do public comment?
No.
No, that was public.
I'm sorry.
No,
Well,
I blew right through that. Hey, we'll go backwards. We don't wanna,
It's
no.
not just you, he goes through public comment, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to get down to get Brad in and out of here, but that's, anyways, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, let's do public comment now that we've had a few things. Nobody here? How about online?
Anybody online like to comment, just unmute yourself and have at it.
Well, I'd like to thank Brad for his presentation. You know, it was really very educational. And every time I learn a lot. It's really.
Well, it is, cause most people, I would think, Dan, thank you, cause most people know, you don't want.
The road and drive on it, that's all you
Yeah.
think about.
Well, like I say, I've been doing this since '92. I've had a lot of years of learning and trying to find better solutions. And I'll say, you know, some of the stuff that I see every year is, it's a learning curve even for me, so.
Okay,
I don't
thanks.
expect anybody else to know as much as we do.
Thank you.
Deal with it every day.
Meeting calendar for 2025.
I didn't see anything on there that we can approve.
Neither.
They look good.
I move for approval of the meeting calendar for
Second.
2025.
Okay, is there a second, Bob?
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? Okay, bylaw changes for boards and committees.
So we drafted bylaws for invasive species and Harbor Commission and Parks and Rec a while back. And the Parks and Rec Committee had some changes that they wanted to make, and some of those were applicable to the other committees. So do you want me to run through them, or I had a marked up copy what they were, so.
I read them all. They look darn good.
Okay. So I'd make a motion, we accept the bylaw changes for Parks and Rec, Harbor Commission and invasive species.
Can I stop you?
Anyway,
Could you say, you accept that, except for changing on the Parks and Rec under section 2, the word commission to committee?
Yes, I tried to get those, I missed
I
one.
support that.
So I'll second that.
With the changes, additions, what she,
Changes.
okay,
As they're presented.
who made the motion?
I did.
I'm sorry, I did not hear. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Appoint Michigan Health Endowment Fund Trails Team. So. I have a mission statement. I have some things. I don't know if I'm gonna read all this or just. They're gonna appoint these.
You want the team.
Well, you have to make a motion to create the Township Ad Hoc Committee for the Michigan Health Endowment Fund phase of the Trails Project with the following mission statement: membership, authority, roles, and responsibilities.
You just make that, I'll second that motion.
Okay. So the motion's to be to create that Township Ad Hoc Committee for that reason. The mission statement is gonna be the MHEF, acronym for the Michigan Health Endowment Fund Trails Team, will manage all provisions, procedures associated with the Michigan Health Endowment Fund agreement titled Onekama Renewal Trail Grant R 2405-154207. The trail team is a recommending body to the township board. The township is the grantee of the MHEF grant and solely responsible for the management of the provisions and requirements within the grant. The voting role within the committee pertains to recommendations made to township board, and all final decisions are made by township board.
I'll make a motion that we establish that committee as read and include the documents that we have here as part of that with the minutes.
Very good. Is there a second? Matt?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion? I think that-
So did we get the appointments from
No.
Wayne?
No, not yet, because they would have to have a meeting first. Well, we have one, Joe was
Joe
appointed.
is, but
There'll be me, Susan Halloran, and it's a toss-up.
Okay,
Rod Hudson, but health depending. If he can't, then Mickey Fine.
okay.
So
But the board will have to, the village council will have to make that decision. They haven't made it yet, have they, or did they?
They didn't make it, that was out of the work session
Okay.
last night.
Yeah. And we need to establish the committee.
First,
And then
appoint our
present it to
members,
them.
and then send it to the village for their
correct.
stuff.
So I think, yeah, okay.
I think he plans to get it done.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday, so, okay. Motion made, motion seconded. Any other discussion? No, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? That's carried. Can we put this out on the,
I think we need to appoint our members formally.
we do.
Yeah, we can, this can go on the website.
Okay, you'll put this on the website, so,
Dave, do you know who's gonna be there from the township yet or no?
well, yes, we can appoint them tonight. So you wanna make a motion?
I would make a motion that
You
we,
got one in there, man.
Well, he's,
I.
We're gonna
I thought you
appoint
said
Matt.
he attached.
Geez, from the township.
I
say
know,
that again.
it is,
Because you said you made a motion to
Oh,
approve
yeah,
everything
true.
attached, I
Yeah.
thought you
So
kind of.
the members that were on here were Matt as the chair, Rick Almadine, who's a current member of the trail committee, and Dave Wallace, who's the chair of our planning commission. And then Dr. Mark Ebel.
is a citizen advisor. And Michelle Irvin's a liaison with his local community business, and the village appointees are gonna be who you just, well, yourself as a voting member, and then two other people,
Right, Susan Halloran, for sure,
for sure.
and then it's Rod or Matt. or,
Okay,
But the village gets to
well,
decide.
the village gets to decide, we'll wait till they get a thing from them, and, yeah, that's it, so if we put this on there,
Chris Forth, I think, is like a non-voting advisor. As I remember,
Chris?
I think so.
Yeah, his name appears on here.
Oh, that's right, he's an advisor, I'm sorry, Chris, he's on the planning commission for the village, right?
For both
For
planning
both
commissions.
Township and.
Right, so he'd be a non-voting member, but he'd still be in the discussion, so. I signed the,
Branch.
a grant agreement, mailed it in. And as I hear today that we mailed out stuff, how many days ago, Bob? And people were calling looking for checks 2.5 weeks ago, and they still don't have their checks. Not just one person, I mean like 11.
Yeah, we're gonna, just to address that, we've had, there's been lots of post office issues, not just here, everywhere. But I think we need to work with the clerk's office to get most of our people that were paying bills signed up for ACH.
ACH.
And then then there's no lost checks, there's nothing, it just goes, so I'll work with them on that. We do that pretty successfully at the city.
All in favor of that.
Yeah, I know you would be, it's a lot easier. So 14 days?
More than that, I think it was like right before Thanksgiving. So it's already the 12th, right?
And the
2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay, and I mailed that last week for the other thing, and they don't have the check yet. I returned the contract, I mean, not the check, but I returned that contract, and they don't have it yet either, and that's just going down state.
I don't have a login for the portal either.
Yeah,
Somebody has that,
oh, for that endowment fund portal? Well, who would have that? I don't have that.
whoever's
Yeah, there's several,
Probably.
we can get you set up with one.
We'll get that, okay.
probably Rick, he's the one who wrote it.
So I know, Vic, are you on, is Vic on there?
He is on there.
Vic, you have anything to add at all? You have to unmute yourself. Well, he's on the highway, probably.
That's just about the appointment.
Yes. Okay. Vic, if you're there, you can do Parks and Rec, if you wanted to do your report. Hello,
He's traveling.
I know, but he couldn't call, he was on the phone. Okay, we'll move on until he cuts back in. Approve issuing a request for proposal for the lake management services.
So, yeah, I don't know if you can provide the RFP that the group has been working on, or, the contract.
Yeah.
So,
Hold on, yeah, go ahead, Vic, you can give your report, we'll stop, but go ahead, we can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry about that. A very short report. We met on Friday. I don't have the meeting minutes back yet from the recording secretary. Hopefully have them posted by midweek next week. The majority of the meeting was everybody doing brainstorming on the budget. And I've got all that input and I should have it to the board in early January. That's about it.
Okay. Any questions? None? All right, thank you. Get off the phone, enjoy your drive.
It's already.
Now he's in the ditch. Vic, are you there? He's gone? Okay.
Anyway, Doug came to the meeting since we had this on, so rather than me talk about it,
Doug, you wanna go
Well,
ahead?
yeah,
Go ahead.
okay, so our contract with our current lake manager, Bree, or PLM, ends at the end of this calendar year. We've been working on our, that's her proposal RFP for a number of months. Lots of additions, changes to that, and this is the one that we provided to you is our last recommendation. I'm here to perhaps answer any questions if you have. I mean, the date on it, I think, was February 17th for revote, and he's got it right there on the board there, so we can look at it.
Yeah, I'm just going through it.
Doug, the other thing, and this is related to a conversation Ed and I had about the way the bylaws are written. Because the bylaws say that the board has to approve like also processes. I wonder if you might want to touch on how we see moving forward with the RFP.
Okay, so the 16th, we have a meeting, our next monthly meeting is Monday, the 16th here. And so we're gonna, well, Bree, BLM just sent the 24 lake manager report, so she's gonna give us a preliminary discussion on that. And then we're gonna go into closed session to develop an evaluation or some questions we would ask each one of those people that submit an RFP.
Yeah,
Please go
I
ahead.
don't think you can go into closed session for that.
We don't,
I
I
don't
don't think we can? Okay,
I was arguing for
Yeah.
that too.
It's not one of, I don't think that's one of the authorized carve outs to be able to go into closed session,
okay.
so.
So then we'll have to go to a subcommittee to develop that then, because we really can't have Bree listening on what we're going to be evaluating or what questions we're gonna
Well,
be asking her.
But she's an ad hoc member of that committee, you can just excuse her.
Right,
Okay,
Yeah, you just excuse.
I think the whole committee should do that, probably, yeah.
okay. And so then on Monday, that's what we'll be doing, and then 17th, we'll have all the proposals are going to Cindy here, and she's gonna send them out to us, review, and we're gonna be, since we already have our evaluation process completed before we get proposals, we make it fair. What we're looking for. And I don't know what else. we're gonna do after this, Cindy.
and we're using me just because of the Onekama Township email address, so people understand it's not going to some
Okay.
other person, but, so I
Questions
will.
Come to me too.
Yeah. I'll electronically send out the RFP, assuming it's approved. And then, as he said, we're gonna discuss the criteria, the questions, and then conduct interviews, and then the committee will make a recommendation to the board based on all of that.
So we're directly soliciting known lake managers, should we put it out on our website as well?
Yes, we are.
please.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
And yet, we do have a list of lake managers
Okay.
already, or companies that do that work. We haven't solicited bids for the treatment, we're only doing the lake manager at this time, because we want the lake manager involved with the selection of who's gonna be our treatment contractor after this. It may be the same company,
Okay.
but
But it may not.
it may
May
not.
not.
And that, you know, we certainly want to make sure that we're fair to.
I think it looks really good, I
Yeah.
commend the committee for all the hard work on that, that's a
Thank you.
challenge.
It was tough.
It took us a little while.
Shut, really? How many hours? Lots of hours.
We had 2 or 3
Yeah.
meetings, plus
Yeah.
people working on it, so.
And then, yeah, I wanted to include the statute and all that other stuff in there, so they knew what they were bidding on. Even if we had somebody that perhaps isn't already affiliated with a company that's doing that, somebody that would be interested in doing the lake management job, so.
Okay.
So anyways,
Thank you.
thank you.
Rob, you've been sitting here. Do you want to?
I'm good.
Okay. I mean, we have your report, but do you have something else to add?
Can we stop though? I think we need to make a motion to approve
Oh, yeah.
issuing it. I'll make a motion, we approve issuing the request for proposals for the lake management services, as presented by the invasive species
Is
committee.
there a second?
Yes.
Cindy, second. Any other discussion? None being heard, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Establish, that was easy. Thanks, Doug. Establish a process for potential township clerk appointment. I think Bob has kind of made the point that he'd probably like to stay for another 4 years based on his attitude and, oh, I'm sorry, am I wrong? Read too much into that. Okay, so as it is right now, we have an elected clerk that has not taken the oath of office. So up until January 1st, she has until that time frame to take the oath of office. Bob serves as the appointed clerk through January 1st, and then I'm a little hazy on if we have to reappoint him after January 1st, because if she doesn't take the oath of office, the office becomes open again.
So you'd have.
We'd have to reappoint him temporarily.
I think you have to reappoint somebody temporarily, well, or permanently. No, I mean, that could happen
You have
too.
45 days after the vacancy. occurs.
out.
I didn't say it was you. I didn't say it was you, Bob. I said, oh, okay, you could. Anyways, and then you have 45 days to appoint a new clerk that would fill that position until the next 2-year election, and they'd have to run again. So I guess what I'd say is we have till the 1st. If we gotta make plans, I guess we'd advertise for the position again, or do you want to use old?
Have that ready to go.
I would like to see, okay, let's preface this with, I'm gonna take Amber at her word. That she's told people that she wasn't gonna take the oath of office and wasn't interested in serving in this position. We don't know that, because she could at any time up until January 1st decide, well, I'm
Change her
gonna take
mind.
it, right? So again, I'm taking her at her word. If we assume that's the case, that she's not going to do that, then we have to go through this process. I feel like we need to not only advertise for it, but we need to interview the candidates this time around. Last time it was a different story because we had an incumbent who was
Different
applying for
scenario,
it, different scenario. But I would like to do formal public interviews for any of the candidates if we get to that point.
It should be.
And I think that will be, right? You guys all could, but I don't think you can do that till
After the 1st, right?
We don't know
We
until
can't,
the
we can't do
vacancy.
anything till January 2nd, technically.
And so at that
Reading that over again, there's something hazy about after the 1st of the year.
if you stay on or not, to me, and I think you'd
No,
continue.
No. There's something hazy that if she doesn't show up, it automatically that is vacant. Just, there's another little sentence above that thing. It says that if she wishes to take the oath afterwards, she still would be available. I think that's what I read.
I don't remember reading that. What I will say is when I talked to Catherine weeks ago, because I was trying to understand, Catherine said if the oath is not taken by January 1st, as of the 2nd, it is vacated.
Well, that's true, but then there was some other wishy-washy above that.
Well, it has to do with the clerk that we've appointed, I think, Bob. There's something in there about, I don't even know if we have to reappoint you. You may have to stay in that position until someone is reappointed. I don't know that, but I think that's, to me, is what it means. But,
That's what I thought I read.
yeah,
Okay,
so you may have to stay till another month. I'm just saying. Okay,
But we'll verify that.
we'll verify all
There's
that
some
on the
written
1st.
stuff that just literally came out,
Right.
Yeah.
That you emailed.
Yeah,
but we won't till
we ought
till
to,
that time.
till that
comes.
time frame, we don't have to do
the
anything.
2nd,
Yeah,
January 2nd, you ought to be ready to present that to the paper for advertising.
I agree.
That is available and this is what we need. I don't know that you just might be able to say, we're looking for a new clerk, period. And then have.
You don't think we should put some of the,
We can do a
Duties?
little short
Yeah, do a little
description
blurb.
to circulate it so we're ready if you need.
put it on the website and put it in the paper? I don't know where else you'd advertise.
You do it for a week and then interview for a week and make a decision, 3 weeks, that'd give you your 45 days.
Well, we'd be way within that. We'll be fine. Okay. we have snowplow bids. I don't know if you want to do this under new business. We've asked for them. Oh, Jim. Now you're just sitting there. I'm having fun. You're on my thing.
Yeah.
Ask Jim. Go ahead, Jim. Give the report for.
Well, Doug has told me that they've got their permit for the maintenance.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we got the 60 foot out.
Okay.
That permit, and we'll do that in the spring. It's already on the construction crew.
Is that far enough out? 60?
No,
No.
so.
Okay.
The Eagle guy, told me I had to do 2 permits. And so I'll let Jim talk first, because he's talked to,
Well, I mentioned it last month, when the contractor is decided with the Corps, it will be by the end of February. Liz will give me a call and tell me who it is, so Doug and crew can contact them to see if they can do the other 300 feet that we need up there.
yeah, 250.
But do you have the
At
permit
a
for
good
that?
price.
I do
right?
not yet.
It doesn't. And you don't have a permit
That's
for
a
that one.
major, no, I don't have I don't have the major permit yet from Eagle,
But
so
we've applied for it or not?
I haven't finished it yet, my apologies. So I
You
haven't,
haven't applied?
no, I haven't. Not
Ooh, I
the-
thought you had.
No,
Yeah, I think you said he had, but I
Yeah.
mean, that's,
I thought you said you had to break it up and you had.
I've got it mostly done, I have, have some questions for those folks, so. Last
By
time,
next week.
oh, yeah,
Do they charge for the permit?
$500, I think,
And you can't put it all in one permit?
according to the Eagle guy.
Sure you
Extra
can.
$500.
Again, I'm shocked. I like to state the gas stuff. I'm shocked.
But I thought-
Really?
That's what I thought too, and he said, no, you wouldn't approve it. So.
Jesus Christ.
Guess who's driving?
It's taxpayer money and it's all for taxpayer stuff.
Does it make any difference that that bottom is marl and
It's already been done, and I found some,
Okay.
I found some, was done in 1991 or 1992, and I have that permit number, and the original permit didn't have that, so that's why. I have that permit number, and I'm gonna do exactly the same that was approved in 1991.
how wide roughly?
60, I think.
That'll be good. That'll be awesome if that can get done.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, my supervisor has indicated that he would try to get money for this project because it's gonna get expensive, but I don't know where it's all gonna come from. I don't know if there's.
I heard her
cost
tell
share.
us that she was gonna do it.
I don't know how she's gonna do it. But. Yeah.
Okay, then I've talked to Laura. And she has a grant for 5,000 that she thinks would work if we wanted that for the engineering portion of the job. And then she's got a grant that goes up to 100,000. And she thought that it would be a good candidate for the paving.
Oh, okay.
I have down here, I'll give one to Bob. Where you can go get the grant inquiry form, and then you can go and look at the program and then make the grant proposal and application.
Do you think we can do it ourselves without having somebody? Okay,
You know,
that's fine.
and so, I was supposed to have, I've talked to Pat Bentley and I talked to Scott last week, and they were supposed to have bids, refined bids to me by today, and either they're in the mail or the weather got them, I don't know, but I didn't get them, but Pat indicated that their cost for engineering probably wouldn't be that much, because they have where they did the.
Oh, from the kayak launch.
Right.
Okay.
So he said that probably won't be much. And Scott's 67,000 that we had was for 2.5. And I said, well, the Corps requires,
Three.
or DNR costs 3. And he was gonna give me that quote, and I didn't get it back.
They'll still be under 100 grand.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just for clarification of what he's saying, both of them are probably under the Manger Fund, or is gonna be my guess, related to recreation.
Okay,
The 5,000, the Community Foundation has a policy that if a grant is 5,000 or under, you don't have to fall within a grant cycle. You can submit those grants at any time, and you'll get an answer within 45 days. So that's the first one you're talking about.
Right, I didn't understand that. That
Yeah,
was
that's-
on April 15th.
No, 5,000 or under, you can apply for those anytime.
so that could be done immediately.
Yes.
Okay,
The second one that you're talking about, that has a cycle with it.
Right,
And
yeah,
so
that's
that you
April
would,
15th.
yeah.
okay,
But, their process, you do have to, fill out, I think it's like 5 pages. It's pretty easy, but it's an inquiry form first. And then once they see that you fall within whatever parameters, then they will send you the link to write the grant.
okay.
But we can do it.
That's Minger.
I think the 100,000, up to 100,000, you can apply for any grant, is a 10% match.
Okay, well, that's fine, actually.
Yeah.
But I've never heard that, but,
I think Minger, I think that's the minimum requirement. I think that's right.
well, a consensus, everyone here, do we go ahead on this then? I mean,
So this is to apply for the engineering for paving the parking lot out there, is what we're talking about, and then
the
do we have to have there's that agreement, you sent a copy of it around, Bob, that shows or it's like a cooperation agreement or a donation agreement, is that, what's the process for that?
Intergovernmental.
no, it was between us and the DNR.
Yeah.
So we could gift it.
I'm not certain, I would assume it's the same one that we did before, but. Yeah, I'm
Cause I'm
not sure of
thinking-
that, cause I asked Jim, I said, do you want me to start asking? And he said, no, let's wait to find out what you guys.
Well, let's find out, would everyone be in the 10% match is something that has to be talked about. Would we willing to do that? What's the consensus here? Yes?
Absolutely.
Okay, absolutely. We need to have that, pull
Yeah.
that.
There needs,
The agreement.
yeah, because
Well,
what you're
you
gonna
have
do,
to-
whoever
you have a
owns
copy of
it
the
has,
agreement.
has to allow that.
So we have to do the
You
agreement.
know, but the reason I asked the question is I think the community foundation is gonna
Yeah.
want that as part of the.
No, that's what I'm saying, you have to have it.
Dave,
Yes,
I gave you the gift and.
Yeah, we have it.
we have it here somewhere.
So if we were to,
Fill out.
if we were to act on that at the next meeting, do you think you could find out what a timeline is? Because if it's an April grant deadline, that probably has to be either approved or in process before we can apply.
Yeah, yeah, like I say, I was waiting. I wanted to get it started, but Jim said, let's hold off and find out
Right.
what you guys.
We can do it in January.
Yeah.
Actually, you got plenty of time.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how long it takes to turn around on the DNR's end is all. Is that a long process?
I hope not.
Okay,
They do
I'll
want to
do my
look at the engineering drawings.
so we need to get that going.
Yeah.
Should we, if we wanted to start the engineering drawings, could that be a reimbursable through the community foundation?
No, you can't start anything
Okay.
until, if you're using grant funds, you can't start until after it's approved.
I'm just wondering if that messes up the timeline, if it's a 40, they probably get it turned
Well,
around quicker than
they get-
45.
Laurel
days.
turned it
They
down.
guarantee less than 45
Okay.
days. Within 45 days.
But they're not gonna accept that application now without having this other thing, at least. Will they? Without an agreement,
They're gonna want an agreement from the quote owner to make sure they're not
which is.
spending money on something.
Somebody, right,
that-
okay, so you gotta have that first.
And the owner would be DNR.
The DNR.
DNR would it give us permission to,
Regal.
And I think they may just have to write a letter. I mean, I don't think they have to.
well, we have the form that says what we,
We just need to fill it out and get it back to them, but this board would have to approve that at a, we'd have to wait till January unless you have a special meeting.
up to you,
Yeah, yeah.
Can't do it
Should've kept
today.
going.
really.
To fill the agreement.
Yeah, it's not filled out or
I
anything,
did
so.
send a quick note. I did send a quick note to the decision makers. That's not necessarily I may be the one signing it, but the decision makers, I did send a note that Jim was gonna come here tonight. and talk
Okay.
about it. Nobody sent anything back saying, oh,
Okay.
stop, so that's
Okay.
the time.
We'll get the thing filled out, maybe you can have a meeting before the end of the year.
If we,
If we have a special meeting, just,
Special meeting, 15 minutes, be out of here.
Yeah, it won't take long. We need to get the form filled out. We need to get, yeah, okay. Okay, anything else, Jim?
No, that's it.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. I do have these snowplow bids. I just soon do them now, even though it's not, it's technically new bids.
First of all, I need some approval to pay Rob Johnson for the plowing.
Oh, okay, so I'll address that. So I called Rob. Called a couple people and saw Rob anyways about getting the parking lot plowed because we did not have a plow service selected yet. They hadn't turned bids in. And Rob was nice enough to do it. So, and he did it yet today. So that's why he has a bill in here that hadn't been approved because I have him come do it.
He's at $90 an hour, which is comparable to the rest of the bids. At 4.5 hours, that's what, $405.
Yeah, and he did this and
He did the fire hall, this, and the recycle.
So. Cause we have agreed.
We owe him, I just need approval to pay him.
Somebody make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second it.
and the total, Bob, is?
So I think it's, I'm just going by 90 hours at $475 an hour.
No, 4 point, how many hours?
Yeah.
4.5
4.75 hours
and 90?
at 90.
405,
Something like
no, 5. 36,
$427.50.
okay, 427.50, okay. That's the amount, everyone okay, motion made, seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, carried, okay.
27 what?
50. Now we have bids from,
Thank you, guys.
I have 3 bids, you got them Larson's, Matthew Builder, and Anthony's, so.
Anthony Outdoor Services. And I'm sorry that they didn't all bid the same. Didn't have all the apples in the same, so bidding apples and oranges.
Larson's looked like it was the cheapest to me.
Who?
It looked like
Larson's.
Larson's was, but maybe.
But Larson doesn't have. I don't think he put in his hand shoveling.
They did, $15.
Yes. Hand shoveling. I have no problem with Larson or any one of them. They're all about the same when you boil it down.
Well, the part about, no, they're $80 an hour for Anthony's, but it says you're billed per visit to the site, but they don't bid it per visit. One visit is defined by one or more outdoor employees on the
No, they bid
location.
by the hour and these other guys bid by.
The job.
The job, which I always,
Oh, Anthony's was by the hour?
yes.
I misunderstood that.
Well, cause it says per visit here, but then they define visit just means they were at your place.
Per hour service is $80 for Anthony. And Larson is like $52 for a plow general, just plow. So that's really
Who
quite,
did it last year?
Anthony.
And did Larson's do, I'm trying to remember who
Yes,
did the
Larson's
cutting.
did it, I think 2 or 3 years in a row.
And didn't Larson's do the cutting this year from the lawn line? No, I get them.
No, Anthony.
Anthony's did.
Larson seemed cheapest to me, but
Well, somebody make a motion. They're cheaper on the recycling center by far.
That's far.
$35? I wouldn't plow that for $35. I'm sorry. But
And
it's a lot of plowing.
Just a little.
The cleanup, a lot of cleanup. Rob.
Seeing Larson's.
I think that's a plow getting dropped outside.
I don't know, is it Larson's on,
Yeah,
these weren't included in the packet because they came in after I published it, so.
You sent another email though.
There was 3 emails,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I.
Did you not
forwarded them
get it?
all, or if You sent them to
I've
everybody.
got Matthew, I've got Anthony's.
I think that one came in later, maybe I didn't send it around.
I think you did.
Oh, then maybe I. just-
anyways,
let me do a little sidebar.
okay.
Larson has donated quite a bit to the village in Township. For anything. He does that all free grant.
He's still the cheapest bid. Someone make a motion? No? I'd like to get home before 9, but. Do you not
I'll
want
make a
this,
motion.
you not want the lot plowed this winter? I don't care.
I'll make a motion, we hire Larson's at the rates they have submitted.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second Bob. Bob beat you out, sorry. Gotta be quick on the draw around here. Any other discussion? None being heard, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. Okay. Recycling, we're going to new unfinished business and recycling interlocal agreement. What did Tom actually say?
Well, he sent me a letter, it's not attorney-client privilege, so I put it in the packet.
Right,
He basically, we talked about the agreement, I sent that to him, I sent him the original, sent him our, the signed one for the extension, and it's his opinion that the current agreement does not expire, that it's been extended by the addendum until such time as we either locate a permanent location or we enter into a new agreement, which is what we intended. So I don't know if the county's been, talking to you about that, but we think there's an agreement in effect, and I guess what I'd like to see is, and I think we do have a subcommittee of, I think it's Cindy and I,
Right.
take the county's agreement that they propose, mark it up, tweak it, redo it, so that it, you know, is acceptable to us. And keep the recycling center where it's at, even if we end up having to pay them a little bit of rent to do that, because I think it's a good location.
It is.
It's unutilized property, and I think that's a win-win. Now, whether the county wants that or not, I don't know, but that would be what I would recommend.
okay,
There was nothing there before, I mean,
Grass.
just grass, so it's not like they were using it. for
And the
something.
shock is wearing on from the neighbors, you know.
well, I don't know, she hasn't called me this lately, but I don't know if it's.
And you know, if it turns out that there is stuff blowing, I would
Put up a
even
fence.
support putting a fence
Fence.
up, you know?
Yeah.
A nice
Okay.
looking one, and, but we have to come up with an
Why don't
agreement
you
that
guys-
does that. so
Because
we can-
they are in disagreement about that scenario, so.
Well, why don't you communicate with Lisa that our attorney thinks it extends beyond the end of the calendar year? But with that said, we're working on a response to their draft agreement, and we're gonna, you know, maybe we can even have that done by January, the draft, or February at the latest, maybe February.
Okay,
Give us some time since the holidays are here.
okay.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Okay, and I think you can send them this letter too. Not a, you know. So.
No, could you just send it to my email
Mhm.
and I'll forward it to her and say, this is what our attorney
I didn't
thinks.
see anything wrong with that. The corrections you guys made right there.
Well,
Well,
they do.
it is because they don't.
They don't wanna say that it's their responsibility.
Correct.
They wanna say it's your responsibility to find a place to put all this, even though it's their. Well, I know, but that's the change.
So if we,
Send that letter back to them and say, there, that's a response.
well, no, this is temporary though.
Yeah,
We either need to find a permanent location.
until we find one.
Or we enter into a new agreement that addresses it, and that's what we need to do, is enter into a new agreement that addresses it, and that may
This
include.
addendum is executed until.
Such time as a permanent site is located. That's true.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, but we have to get them to agree to that and figure out all the terms.
Are they opposed to having it back there?
I don't know,
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
They
think
don't
they
like it,
wanna
like
be
it where it
married
is.
to it. That's the
Oh, they
problem.
don't?
I don't know.
Oh,
They want,
allowed it.
they allowed it. They want the township to have a spot with that on their land.
Right,
Because
but,
here, that's what they
but
want.
if we pay them some rent.
Maybe
then
that,
it
maybe that
changes
changes,
equation,
maybe it
Because now
changes
it's
the
not,
equation.
now they're not providing it, we're getting a service for a fee.
Here, I'll continue. They don't want to be viewed as that they're providing us a spot where they haven't
Oh, for
provided.
everybody else.
Correct.
There you go. Okay, even though the property is here and
No,
it's,
that makes sense.
Vacant, nothing's being used.
I should have told them we'll have the other communities come over here. But that's,
No, yeah.
no, it doesn't work. So that's the whole, that's why. So maybe Ed's about paying some rent.
I think that's a win-win.
Yeah.
Personally, but.
We already put in the little, there's gravel there and people are going,
We paid for
Well,
that.
if we move it, the gravel's.
So they gotta dig up the gravel, yeah.
Wish you could take
We'll
it.
sell it to them to put on their track though.
I get the steps.
Yeah, wasn't
We put
Seed
some
supposed
pros,
to
if
rebuild
we're gonna
those?
lease it, we should put the
So,
pros on.
so,
That's never happened. The one
Yeah.
step, there's something bad with it, and then she was gonna find a set of steps. They had a set of steps that were really nice, and whoever had them, they were steel on wheels and everything. They took them to Padnos.
Oh, jeez.
Oh. Yeah,
The only bad part about putting them on the steel rollers
Is there?
Well, they need bigger tires. That whole thing's shot though. She said,
Okay.
anyways, I don't know how to fix
That's
that.
the school's responsibility. It's their trailer. The
It's not
school
ours.
needs To fix the steps,
I'll call the guy at the school and tell him to fix
or
it.
the trailer goes away.
Okay,
I mean, I think that's pretty easy. It's-
okay. All right, we done beating that to death?
Yep.
DeVoe compliance order. Mr. DeVoe has put up 3 sections of fence.
Get out of here.
No, I'm not kidding you.
Get out of here.
Well, we still have an
Would you just
inventory.
put them up?
We don't have to inventory, but if he gets the fence all the way around, they don't have to inventory it, because we don't have any say in it then.
Are they in the ground or you just put up a?
No, they're on the.
What are they,
that-
slab wood?
No, those
Regular
sections,
fence?
that section of woven, whatever that wood is. 5x8 sheets, whatever they are, they're solid wood fence.
Is it 8 foot high, an 8 foot high fence?
I think so.
Did you have the conversation with Mike and Katie? Did she ever call you? It's like she said she would in this email
About having,
about having Mike, the compliance Mike, and you, like, they're supposed to do compliance work for us.
Right.
This is compliance work. It's winter. We're not gonna do it now, but
no, but I
First
was
thing in the
actually, I
spring.
think when she told me, I said, Mike's put up 3 sections of fence now. What? I said, he put up 3 sections of fence. So I'll see him this weekend and see if he can get any more done. I don't know if he will now, but if the snow doesn't get bad, you can put up a couple more.
not everything's been moved yet either.
No, well,
No.
most of the stuff's out back. There's 2 boats still.
I just want him to be in compliance with the consent.
He is not in compliance.
So if that means in the spring that you and Mike or somebody hire Mike and somebody, whoever goes out, it needs to get done before summer, before June. I would say
And,
before.
and
the end
if
of
he
May.
doesn't do it, my intent is I'll have somebody as a contractor do it. And we're gonna have to do it that way because,
I don't wanna spend another summer
No.
of people
Complaining, yes.
complaining.
no, okay.
Why is this so bad?
I forgot to thank Brad when he was here about, so Bernard dock violation, that, and related to that, so what is left there, the only thing left now is the lift, which is moved about 150 feet from the lake. The road commission went and put in, I should have thanked him, I forgot, Brad Laxo had the 2 guys come out, and they went and put in the new stakes
At the water side.
at the water side, but not right by the water's edge, back about
That's what we did.
10, 12 feet, so that even when the water comes up, they'll still be A-okay. So that, as of 3 days ago, because I didn't go today, if it's still there, I have a ticket half written out, where it's my intent is to just serve them with a civil infraction ticket. Because the lift is still there.
And, okay, and they had a mooring ball. I wonder if that's still there too.
Oh, I did not look at that. I'll go down and look tomorrow when I take pictures of the. I want a picture of the dock between the 2, because they were saying that, we didn't know exactly where so that's that
Oh,
part.
in progress.
Yeah, but it's close enough that all that's left, I don't know if it's in there or not. The mooring ball, so that if it is, I'll take a picture of that tomorrow. Huck fence. Mr. Huck's fence is even with the front of his yard. House.
Thought after the last meeting, we were seeing that's gonna be taken off, because we're not gonna
Probably
pursue
forgot
it.
to.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, that's up to the board.
I'm tired of, you got one,
Well,
you could have built the fence, torn it down, had a bonfire, roasted weenies, and gave everybody $150, and we'd still come out ahead.
yeah,
And you still got the fence.
my recollection from the last meeting is we said we wouldn't pursue it since.
Well,
Because the road
it's-
commission wasn't
The road
gonna
commission
follow
wouldn't-
through.
It's a road commission issue. It's in their setback.
Correct.
Okay,
And so since they're not gonna pursue it, we're not. And then we also talked about planning commission looking at it. So I sent an email to, Dave Wallace saying we need to add this to our agenda. I have not gotten a response from him, but.
So this can go away then.
go away.
Do we need to notify the road commission that it's,
They were there.
oh, okay, well, they know about it then.
They were there. They were in court.
Oh, alright,
So,
they know.
yeah, I'm done. Take it off the agenda. Okay, Portage Lake Bible Camp Road Vacation. Supplementary agreement.
Is Richard back from Europe yet?
Europe, yeah, but he's in,
Florida now?
no, New Mexico. I'm sorry, he goes there in New Mexico, am I right?
Someplace, I don't know.
Somewhere out west where it's warm.
So is Richard gonna draft the agreement? Because it's like the Bible camp offered to provide that and that, so we don't have to pay Tom to do it, because we.
Right, I don't wanna pay Tom to do
We
it,
don't,
so
I don't wanna let this drop because they agreed to do it. I think there needs to be an agreement.
I'll call him tomorrow.
Call
Mark Ikes.
I'll call Richard. He represents them.
Or call Mark.
Call Mark Ikes.
And
He's
have
the one who's
Mark talk to us,
responsible.
is their client, so.
I don't have his number. Does anybody have Mark's number?
Mark and told me you need a supplemental agreement. Have him call, make the arrangement that we don't have to pay his attorney.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Well, he sent us an email. It's
It's
on there.
I have it someplace, I don't know why I don't have it.
Okay. I can get it somewhere, but I don't have Mark's.
I get it on my phone.
Yeah,
Don't stop now, Dave, you're in a roll.
no, my problem is if, oh, here, I got him, never mind. Listed under Portage Lake Bible Camp instead of Mark. Kinda hard to find stuff when you do that. Hail damage, we've kinda already talked about that. I don't think we need to do the insurance claim stuff anymore, do we? Tonight?
No.
Okay. Harbor Commission, a report recycling,
You already talked about it.
trailers are over there, Parks and Rec. Fire Department, we have a report on file, 3 mutual aids, 1 personal injury, 2 possible structure fires.
I think he said he had total 91 runs this month. I think that's what he said.
91?
I think so.
Oh my God, yeah. So,
No, it can't be.
it can't be that many, it's not that many, Bob.
Yeah, only had 3 mutual aid, 1 personal. No, it can't be.
That can't be,
That can't.
so,
Never mind.
never mind, we'll put it on
Underneath
file.
that.
Here's an issue though, that is gonna come up, so they want to meet with, Sean Adams is retiring as chief
No,
over.
this is not.
Yeah, that's all public information, isn't it? He hasn't retired?
Oh, he hasn't retired yet.
Okay. Sean Adams is thinking of retiring, might retire, we'll go with that, from the Bear Lake Township Fire Department. We have an issue where we are responding, for mutual aid first responders to Bear Lake, where their people don't show up at all. What's been going on, because they're short-staffed and I don't know why. But we have been responding to that, so it's putting,
So they show up and then they are the only,
we are showing up.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, the Onekama guys show up and there is
We're
no,
doing first responding,
or they're like,
sometimes. Now, they do go once in a while, or they don't go, and EMS get there before anybody else. That's the majority of the time, EMS is there before anybody. That's a Bear Lake thing.
yeah.
So
Well,
what?
it becomes an us thing because we're.
It becomes an us thing. So Rob had been talking to Sean about doing some with both departments and then getting more people involved in somehow, maybe moving, I mean, that was a thought process, moving out to their new building that they were gonna get built. Well, that all fell apart because the millage didn't fall through, that fell through, so that's not going anywhere. So he wants me to meet with Jeff Hartoon and Rob and Sean and talking about maybe, his opinion, covering them, but no one on the board over there has ever even
Asked.
talked about it, I think. I'm
Would
just
we
bringing
like,
this up
would we
because,
sign a contract, like a
well, that's
per
what
trip, per trip?
well, you'd have to do something.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I'm just
Right.
saying,
Same, they cover for mutual aid and get funding. We cover for Beartown, Browntown.
Yeah.
They would have to pay us money, and I'm telling you right now, Bear Lake is not gonna give us Onekama any money for anything. That's just like asking, well, the schools can consolidate.
Right.
The fire department's not gonna do it either.
that's your opinion.
That's my opinion.
So we'll go past that. So I'm gonna go see Mr. Hartoon. I don't know where this goes or what we end up doing. They have a problem over there about first responders. I mean, they do because they don't have that many. And
In the winter time and, yeah. I get it.
I mean, there's conversations going on,
All over, isn't there?
This is all hearsay and it's really not something.
But I'm just bringing it up because it's been talked about. I mean, something needs to happen going forward between Arcadia, even Arcadia, us,
Well, it's not just.
our Bear Lake.
It's not just this, us two, this is happening throughout the county and throughout Michigan. On and over,
Low on.
low on volunteers.
It's all volunteers. If they, and you're pushing them people an awful lot, they gotta take a 240-hour class, isn't it, Bob? And then this class they've been doing now
There's
is
like a continuing ed.
oh, the 240 is just to get it originally. Now they've been meeting for how long here on these classes
I
that?
think that's 4 months.
It's a lot of time, 5 hours, 8 hours one day. They were here last night till 9 o'clock. So you can't expect that. So what's gonna happen eventually is you're gonna have to either staff this with 1 or 2 people. Well, it's gonna come to that.
All kinds of things could happen. It's like a consolidation of a school. You could build a new school like Benzie did.
Right.
You can do the same thing with fire departments. You could have a separate entity.
you can have a fire district, you can have a fire authority.
You can have EMS guys. Our biggest thing is the first responder.
authority. You can have a fire authority.
It's just something we need to be start thinking about because it is gonna change
It's gonna
people.
be something like that, 24-hour service, someplace in the county, relatively close.
Centralize it. You can have people in
And
it.
It'll be.
For all townships.
Probably, I'm just, again, blowing my mouth, but I would say Maple Grove, Onekama, Bear Lake and Arcadia
In Pleasanton.
and Pleasanton, well, Pleasanton will be in on it too.
Oh,
Maybe.
in Grand Traverse County, they have the city fire department. And they used to have, I think one of them disbanded, but they used to have Grand Traverse Metro, which was the 3 townships right around Traverse City, and then they had Grand Traverse Rural. And it was like, those 2 were merged departments. I don't know if they were a fire district or a fire authority. But it's, yeah, this conversation is long overdue. And there's a ton of redundancy between all these departments, and they have lots of equipment and no staff.
See, now you understand, I understand,
It's,
but you talk to the old boys and they don't understand.
No, but Bob, I think we've cured some of that because we got rid of our equipment we weren't running and said, you know what? It doesn't make sense to have all these trucks and you don't have enough people to drive them when you have mutual aid.
Yeah.
Mutual aid is,
That was the whole idea.
and we've done that. But the rescue part.
If your mutual aid doesn't show up, then.
No, they show up, the fire mutual aid is totally different
Oh, then.
because did those,
You have a fire, an active fire, you get people coming out of the wall that you haven't seen before.
Okay. But for a
Rescue.
just for a
Rescue's
rescue run,
different.
you might not.
I
because
got-
not all the firefighters are rescue. So you're separate.
Big city they are, here they're not.
Yeah, like Manistee, they're both.
And you're not paying them, I mean, really, to do all that work. It's a.
That's what's coming.
Well, today, example, what happened? The ambulance ran somebody. We were just talking about today, the ambulance had to go to take someone to DeVos or something. So there was a call out in
Norman.
Norman, no, not Norman, because the city had to respond.
happens all the time.
Happens all the time. So the city's responding with their ambulance. So as soon as they took off and did that, there was a call in for their ambulance in Manistee.
They had to backfill with their second ambulance probably, and because there's no MMR available,
So they have to backfill, and apparently when you call backfill people in,
expensive.
it's 4-hour minimum, they all get paid. So it's costing the city, so I'm just telling you, and the city has not responded. They've responded every
No,
time.
but the conversation that we're alluding could happen is happening
It's
with some of
happening
the communities
It's
around
happening
Manistee Lake,
by-
but it's a slow
by
process.
authorities, it's happening, it's
Yeah.
not happening by the general public.
Well, it's something that's gonna have to change
The
anyways.
general public only wants to see a fire engine, nice shiny fire engine. And some guys come on when you got a headache and you get 3 guys come in, pat you on the back, put you in an ambulance and send you away.
Yeah.
But
But
Bob,
the
that might,
mechanics of that happening,
right, but the general public wants reasonable response times. I don't really think
That's
they
what
care
they're paying
whether, I don't think they care whether they've got a Bear Lake sticker or an
See, the
Onekama
other
sticker or an
conversation
Acadia
is
sticker
that
on their shirts.
the townships are responsible for fire coverage.
Only,
By law.
yeah, not rescue.
Not rescue. They can not rescue.
Bear Lake, absolutely. If they lose enough
Then they have
people.
to pick up somebody else for rescue, and then they have to pay them.
Cause the millage is for fire only.
They
Anyway,
have to pass a new millage.
well, yeah, but you
It's
know, how
gonna
much,
be a mess.
well, you staff, how much think it is to staff a guy in a
Oh.
truck and a thing here for,
Oh, my God.
Oh, 150,000 for one guy. Maybe more.
that you're probably not so far off with insurance and.
Well, then
Anyways,
you have to have the training.
you'd have to have another mill, another 2 mills. Hey, anyways, okay, I gotta fix that today, but I am gonna go meet with Jeff.
Put that on with your gas tank.
Oh, that really
You're
ticks
not gonna
me
gas
off.
tax.
Zoning administrator, we have a report.
Yeah, so I like this report that Mike's been doing, the enforcement report, so I
Yeah.
think those are self-explanatory, but there is one other issue that's been brought to my attention. And that's with our property up on, just south of the cemetery.
11 mile.
I asked Jody to look into that today,
Okay.
so
So,
I think she was gonna get a hold of him.
No,
Yeah.
pull up that cemetery. Do you have the plot?
and so this is our property here on the corner of Erdman and
Correct.
11 Mile. And people for years have run the power line with their snowmobiles, even though it's going across private property. This property changed hands and the gentleman built a house there. But there's been reports of one, that there's a fence that's been put across. But whether or not it's on their property or our property,
Don't know.
we don't know. And so I don't know if that parcel ought to be surveyed. If it has been surveyed, if there's stakes there, but we may need to possibly mark our line. And then I know we banned hunting. I don't know if anybody knows if anybody was hunting on it this year, but I'd heard that maybe people were potentially, so. But I think what's gonna happen here is somebody's gonna run that power line with a snowmobile.
Yeah,
They're
hit the
gonna
fence.
hit that fence and not realize it's there. Now, is that our problem?
If it's on our property, it is.
Potentially, so I think we need to know if that's happened or not.
Okay.
And maybe if Katie and Mike are checking that out, that's great, but
The only other thing we can do is you can do the aerial, there's poles there, right? Power poles.
No, really,
I can see them
do I?
like that one, right?
Do I
So I
remember right?
can, you can measure, I can measure from the aerial how far that is and get an idea if at least the fence is on our property.
I just didn't know if this had ever been surveyed or not, or if there's any.
Do
And I don't,
Do I remember right that easement for utilities
consumers,
cannot be traveled by snow machines? Overland.
oh, I know.
I don't think
It's
that's the
trespassing.
case, no, because they own it, like, a lot of the power lines up by Bear Creek up northwest of here. Or northeast of here, consumers owns, if you look at the parcel map, there's actually a strip, these are just easements, and generally. You can't interfere with their ability to get there and use it, but it's still your property. I don't think they prohibit snowmobiles running
Where
on
you
it,
can't.
but the property owner has to.
But the property owner might have the right, I think he's exactly right. Over there, those are all owned by consumer right of ways, where the big lines are.
Do you know that's an easement or a right of way?
This is an easement, because it would
Easement.
show as a separate parcel. If you, and it probably isn't on here, but if you look at the county aerial maps, where they own it, they have, there's actually.
Like a little
separate
skinny-
parcels.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's a skinny piece, and you know what? The rate is set by the state. It's not the same rate used for normal land. So it's way
So
cheaper.
anyway,
Anyways.
I'm concerned about the fence.
Okay, well, let's see if they get back with me tomorrow, 'cause she was gonna get a hold of them today.
Okay.
And if that's the case, you know.
We can survey it.
It's a survey. You only need that one line survey.
There is someone cut a tree across part of it,
Well, there's been, and somebody had put out a private property sign on our
Yeah.
property,
yeah.
so.
Well, it is private property.
Thank you for the sign.
It just happens to be ours. Okay, I did have that guy about hunting, if we wanted to revisit opening up township land for hunting. Was brought up to me. I don't know if you want to
We have
discuss that.
A hunting ordinance for the park. But I don't think we have a general hunting ordinance outside the park.
But we adopted a policy.
Not to allow hunting. Because how do you, who you gonna,
Where do you see that policy?
well, I
In
think
the
we,
minutes.
yeah,
We did it maybe, well, right before hunting season last year, if you look at those, maybe the October, November minutes.
But we have.
a policy that just says we don't allow hunting.
Resolution, the resolution.
I think
I
so.
can't find it.
Okay, well, we can find that.
It doesn't matter. If you say we do, we do.
We pass it. Well, we do, because this guy said you have this thing that says I can't hunt, and I'd like to know why you can't hunt. Well, why don't you open it to hunting? I don't know how you do that, and then you have a lottery? Do you allow anyone that wants to show up, go hunt on 40 acres? I mean, that creates another problem.
Crazy.
Well, it's crazy, is right. First come, first served.
Once you open Pandora's box,
No, you can't close it.
you can't close it.
Okay. Planning commission and ZBA.
And on planning commission, we have a meeting next week.
Is that for the camp or?
We've got 2 or 3 things on the agenda, but we didn't have a meeting last month, so.
Okay.
PPI, special use permit, one of them.
I have written to Dave Wallace asking him to put that on the agenda. But I have not had a response.
Okay. Roads, you want to discuss anything else on roads tonight or no?
No, I'm very glad Brad came tonight. I think that's
Yeah.
excellent.
Very
That's the
informative.
same stuff I've been hearing for the last 4 years, but you guys have never.
Well, I didn't want to say it when Brad was here. But Manistee County is 82 of 82 in overall road conditions.
Ooh, at the top, you mean 82 of about 82? Oh, the
So
bottom.
what he's doing is absolutely the right thing. I mean,
He's doing all right. He's the,
asset
he
management,
makes,
yes.
I can't.
No.
82 counties?
Yeah.
We were, and maybe it's gone up 1 or 2, but yes, if you look at the.
We're in the
ratings for
80s.
Federal road, we were dead
It's
last.
like being Mississippi.
Only,
So I applaud him
Wonder what
for
that means,
changing that
Dan.
culture. You know,
It's not
actually,
good.
if he can pull this off, the Transportation Asset Management Council that kind of pushes this type of asset management, I would put them up for an award, because I think that's exactly what they should be doing.
he's good, he's thinker.
Yeah. I think.
Well,
it's-
he has a lot of good information and, you know, I mean, there's stuff like I mean, I'm not gonna call it the right word, but the Prozac you put on the road. I've never even heard of that before, and it seems like,
We need to look that up, by the way. It's not Prozac, but now Prozine.
Prozine, yes.
Well, you might.
But it sounds like you could save a ton of money doing that, you know what I mean? Like millions.
Something for 11 mile,
It could
Yeah.
absolutely be if it works as advertised.
As opposed to-
I'm skeptical too, but.
maybe
Right, as opposed to multi-million dollars, you put
I mean, if it turned
Anything.
hard,
$25,000.
if it pans out.
my driveway washes constantly,
There you go.
so.
Prozac for your driveway.
Yeah.
about assessor, what do you do?
We need to appoint, assessor, we had board review meeting yesterday just for qualified heirs, I think that you would call that and whatever, and that was yesterday, but I think we need to appoint board review members for their terms.
It's
I think it's a 1 year.
what
term.
Ed said us today, yes, we do.
Yes,
Yeah, cause there can be nobody on the board now.
It's, I wasn't aware of it, board review members have to be appointed annually. Their
Yep.
terms expire the 31st.
Every year, yep. You're absolutely.
This says for a new 2-year term that begins January 1st, 2025. Both new and previously appointed board of review members must be appointed and must take the oath of office and file it with the clerk within 10 days after appointment.
Just change the date.
No,
oh, this is why we need a new clerk.
That's right.
No, okay, so
I'm ready to go.
do we, no, do we, so 10 days, that gives me to, what is today? We're fine, they're all still here, no one's gone for the winter. They were here yesterday, nobody's leaving, oh, who's having their,
They both had knee surgery.
yeah, they both have had it done, they're not,
They're raw. Both came in on a cane.
we can appoint them today, and then I'll just they need to come in and take the oath of office next week.
Do we have alternates that aren't on that list?
We used to have an alternate.
Yeah, we do not have one,
And you can't appoint an alternate.
we need someone to apply for the job and then appoint them as an alternate.
I let them handle that, and then if that, we'll tackle it after they decide if they want an alternate.
Okay, so I'd like to, someone make a motion to appoint Dave Wallace, Lucas Palmer and Kevin Kane for the term 2025-2026. 2 years, is that correct?
That's what it says here. I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second, Bob?
Yes.
I knew there would be. Thank you. Any other discussion? None being heard, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. Do you want to send an email to Dave and tell him to come in here and
All three of them.
all three of them and yeah. Or get a hold of each one individually, I don't know. You want this back? Do that, I don't need that, I don't need, I need this, I think we have the new multiplier, I don't know what it is, 3 or 4 point,
Didn't I give you that?
Yeah, I thought I saw three.
Yeah, you did.
3.1? Wow, I'm actually shocked, it's so low, okay. Well, we're gonna be happy about that, and your taxes went up more than 5% on your bill. And it has nothing to do with they refigured it wrong. It's the bond issue for the new medical care is on there, it wasn't on there last year, so if you did a straight percentage shot, I've had now 3 calls.
Yeah, there's been some inquiries.
Because people checked their bill, I did, I just paid my taxes. They checked their bill and said, if this was supposed to go up 5%, it went up 18%, what's wrong? Well, depending on how your taxable value is, that thing was $1.5 million, 1.48 mils.
Yeah, there's only like 8 mills or something like that levied in the winter.
Winter, and this was 1.5 mils out of that, it's like 20-some percent, it was almost whatever,
It did go, yeah.
percentage wise.
Bill, I
But
was
this
like,
should be the last year that that's on the tax bill according to County Commissioner Ganaz.
What do you mean?
We asked him right here when he was pitching that, he's like, well, yeah, the projection's so we'll have enough patients that they'll be able to pay for that.
No way.
That's what he said.
Yeah, well, no, you wanna bet?
No, I don't, but I'm just telling you, that's what he said.
That's gonna be on there for
Okay.
20 years. How much does that raise? $1.5 million in the county? Got a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's 300,000 a year.
A mill in the city raises a little over 200, so I don't know what percentage, I don't know what's the taxable value of the county?
Taxable value of the city is less than us?
That's similar.
Oh, I didn't know that. Just haven't checked lately. Okay, well, it's high. Invasive species,
You already talked.
really, we already talked
well,
about it. It was
done,
the-
correspondence,
You got a railroad thing you're proud of.
the railroad, oh yeah, the railroad grades. So we have a map. Somewhere in here. Shows all the railroads. Didn't think there was that many, I don't know if we wanna,
That's
Anybody,
kind of cool.
yeah,
anybody railroad nut?
I don't know, put it up on the wall somewhere, Bob.
Uh-huh.
Put it in the file somewhere, Bob,
Yeah, okay.
and we'll do that.
Not totally bad.
Apex, bills to be paid, but we have this bill from Apex, so this is the sketching program that we use here, that countywide appraisal, when Jenny was here, we used to. They billed us and then the township reimbursed us. Well, apparently the guy told me he didn't even have, when I called today, he did not have. He's been sending stuff to Onekama Township, but he didn't know where it was going because he didn't have our email address. So I said, well, we've never got a bill. And he goes, okay, I'm just gonna bill you like you're starting. He said, so it's like $655, and then next year it will be $260. And it includes 1 license and the first year maintenance and support. So we don't even have a license now.
What is this?
Apex, which is a sketching program in the computer here for all the assessments. We have sketches that we've entered in the computer. To print them out here, you need the license,
Well, you also use it to.
and we use it, yeah.
Yes, the sketching program.
It's a sketching program, but
They use Hover now instead of that. But they're not.
no, the cloud.
No, it's Hover, it's a program.
We-
When you looked at all that stuff that they did, the pictures are here, they're all Hover.
Oh, they are, oh, you're talking about, oh, yeah,
Square footage, lineal foot, whatever you want.
that's the new drone thing, right?
Oh, it's all in the cloud.
Or is it in the cloud? But they're doing it with either drones or they're doing it
They
with
do-
satellite.
That's why they call it a Hover.
Yeah, so that's the new technology coming. I'll be long gone out of assessing by the time that gets it up here.
You wanna be a clerk?
No. Anyways, I need a motion for the normal, not the normal bills, but let's do this one separately because it's for Apex, it's $655 for the license and 1 year of maintenance included.
You can make that motion, Dave.
I will.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion? None being heard, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's passed. Give that to
Make a
Robert.
motion and pay the bills, that's the thing.
Support.
Any discussion? None being heard, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. Public comment, Dan.
Yeah, I guess I'll put this under environmental concern over on Portage Point. I noticed that two of the Dow houses are listed for sale as condominiums, which is kind of a surprise because Bob Kazan withdrew that application for condominiums, but the more significant part is that the listing says that the structures can be demolished and replaced with a larger building, which isn't on the whole special use permit.
That's
So,
correct. Actually, it's not allowed, but who has that posted like that? The realtor?
Sternberger. So I mean, I don't know what the confusion is with whomever,
It just goes right back to,
but it's just like,
yeah.
you know, the buyer beware, I guess. That's not really, you know.
No, but that is what true, but no, I appreciate that. I'll call Jeff and tell him to get that, shouldn't be on there.
Title search would be interesting.
Yeah.
That's one of those, do it now. And
Well,
pay the
Well,
consequence.
but it gets back to that whole special use permit,
Needs
in
to
my
be,
opinion.
Yeah.
Needs to be looked at from the ground up. Let's get it in the condition it needs to be in and figure out what we do then after that. It's overdue.
I agree.
the other issue over there, which I'll call it the veteran side of the table, very familiar with that whole Cook land use permit. I talked to Frank Palatka not too long ago, and it's not 100%, but it looks like they've let their septic permit expire. Given all the controversy on where that septic field's gonna go. Thinking it would be prudent for Jody Lynch or somebody to look into it.
For who's that?
For the Cooks. Their septic permit, I looked into it. It expired on November 13th. And there's no indication that I'm aware of if they've renewed it. So, I mean, they're continuing to build, obviously, but it just seems to me that the zoning administrator should look into that just to see what the status is.
Okay.
It's not clear where it's gonna go.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. All right. Anybody else? Otherwise, I'm gonna adjourn. Public comments. Anyone on the line anymore?
I think so. Let me see. No, we bored them to death.
I imagine we did. Okay. I'm going to ADJ. Adjournment.
Boy, I can understand that.
19 cents a gallon's coming?
Jeez, it just went down a little bit finally.
Yeah, stop.